Welcome to Season 3, Episode 5 of the Tree of Geek. I'm your host, Josh, joined as always by Michael.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
And once again, returning guest, John.
Hi, folks.
In this episode, we're going to be looking at the timeless world of the Highlander. From the amazing epic battles to the unforgettable catchphrase. John, what is it?
There can only be one.
You got doing the Christopher Lambert voice.
No, he did it in the Queen voice.
Yes.
Was that Freddie Mercury?
Yes.
That was
my best impression of him.
No, better than Adam Lambert.
that
Lambert.
is true.
No, Adam Lambert, the current singer of Queen.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't recognize.
Anyways, we're going to be diving into this. We're going to be looking at this cult classic and what made it a cult classic, as well as breaking down the incredible action scenes, the fight scenes, and Michael, I'm sure
The emotional scene.
we're going to absolutely touch on the amazing soundtrack
Oh, yeah.
that made this movie.
I might cry, dude. Like, I might get choked up. I'm fucking, it's probably going to happen.
So whether or not you have listened to us before or this is your first time hearing us, buckle up because we're going into this. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, dude. It's going to be like Kurgan going down the fucking bridge in Manhattan or wherever the hell that was in New York.
And I will say we're going to be focusing on the original first Highlander. We will probably touch on the other ones a little bit.
Well, we're going to touch on the other ones for sure.
But this is going to be mostly focused on the original. But before we get started, my favorite section of the entire podcast, New in Geek. So we're going to go ahead and start with our guest star, John. John, what is new in your geeky world?
Nothing, not a damn thing. Just watching anime like crazy and playing Dynasty Warriors.
Still playing Dynasty Warriors, still just
Yep.
button smashing?
Absolutely.
I like it. You were telling me that you're going to a con soon?
Yep, SetsuCon. It's going to be here on January 3rd. Actually, no, I'm sorry, February 1st.
I'll say tomorrow's January 31st, my
okay.
birthday. So
So
there's no more
when
days.
people hear this, it'll be at least a month ago. So you said it's a full-on anime con.
Absolutely, Altoona, PA.
Or are you dressing up?
Not this time
You're not going
around.
to dress up as Luigi in Altoona and at McDonald's?
No.
Wow. That's how many people do you think went into that McDonald's dressed as Luigi from Mario Brothers?
Oh, I don't
Just
know.
fake eyebrows left
Like,
and right, man.
yeah. Oh man.
What do I got going on? I got a couple things going on. First thing, asteroid Bennu. You heard anybody hear about this?
No.
John, nobody?
No.
So there's an asteroid that's been spinning around. It's like 1 in 700 something chances of hitting us. Well, anyway, I guess NASA sent like a rover deal over there to scoop up some dust. The dust is holding the building blocks that could create our DNA.
Really?
And there's a hypothesis that this asteroid and others could have deposited the stuff that made us on other planets. And there could have been an asteroid that came here that
Interesting.
deposited and would have been how we started.
Now-
I don't want to step on any religious toes, but there's a
Of course.
theory.
Now, is this the one I did read something about an asteroid? They said it's going to pass between us and the moon. Like it's going to be that close.
I don't know if it's the same one or not. There's a lot of
Okay.
asteroids
Okay.
flying around space, but I thought that was cool. Like
That is.
it's got stuff that could make us.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Nosferatu. So
God
this
bless
has
you.
been hailed as like the best horror movie of the year.
Willem Dafoe?
Willem Dafoe is in it, and he's Willem Dafoe to a fault.
Okay.
If anybody wants to watch this movie, I will say these two things. One, Skarsgård is pretty good in it. But secondly, just watch Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves instead, because this is basically a different version of that.
Stick with the classic.
Which which Skarsgård?
The tall one, Bill.
From It?
Yeah, the
Okay.
It one. Yeah, is
Okay.
that one Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slow. It's got some striking visuals. It does a couple jump scares, but overall, it's not Heretic and it's not The Substance. It's not Alien Romulus. Like it was kind of meh. It was all right. It was okay. Section 31 from Star Trek. Now I put up a post that I liked this. So I think I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. It's got some issues with it, but as a huge Star Trek fan, I really enjoyed this. I just thought it was a fun ride. You didn't really have to think much about it, but apparently the critics are destroying it. Star Trek fans are destroying it. IMDb is destroying it. Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody in the world thinks this thing fucking sucks. I just thought it was a simple fun with an emotional touch movie. It had a lot of comedy in it. They're saying it's like, oh, it's a Star Trek Suicide Squad. I could see that now. I didn't think about it as I watched it yesterday, but I enjoyed it and I do recommend it.
Well, now, spoiler free, you said that there is a big like actor or a character in it later on that you
At the
didn't
very end.
you didn't see coming.
No, it's a female. And I was like, oh, this celebrity's in this?
As
Or
someone
might be
who-
in the future of the franchise?
As someone who doesn't do Star Trek, I have no idea who that could possibly
and
be.
they bring in a character that has been shown in the Next Generation. And I was like, oh, they're giving, because this takes place in between the original Star Trek with Captain Kirk and the Next Generation. It's like 40 years before Captain Picard's Enterprise D. And
Okay.
this is the first film TV show to ever touch that area of time. So like, we don't really know what happens in between here. And to bring in this certain character, I was very happy because this character only gets like one episode in a Wikipedia file. And to have this character be given a backstory and more understanding. And for the Magicians fans out there, an actress from the Magicians plays her. And it was really awesome and good. And I understand how this character got where she does in the future.
Oh, is that the one you sent me?
Yes.
That actress. Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of space dramas and soap operas, Henry Cavill is, there's a lot of rumors going on that he's going to be in a Star Wars here soon of some sort, which is funny because we're talking about Highlander and we'll get to him later. But yeah, Henry Cavill's might be joining a galaxy far, far away a long time ago in the future.
As a Force.
The Cavill Force. I don't know. That wasn't very funny. Mythic Quest Season 4 just came out. Emily and I watched the first 2 episodes last night. And yeah, it's good. I don't know if it's as good in the first 2 episodes as the previous seasons, but it's the first 2 episodes, so I won't say it's not good. It was fun and enjoyable. I was kind of sad the 3rd episode wasn't out yet. I got to wait till like February 9th or something. But is that the Super Bowl, February 9th, which the Lions did not make it to. The Chiefs did. You guys will all probably know already who won the Super Bowl while listening to this. So all hail Mahomes and the chiefdom that never, ever loses. I hope I'm reverse psychologying this. And Jalen Hurts. Go Birds. Go Birds. That's what I'm going to say. Go Birds.
Yep. Go Eagles.
Birds. Go Birds. Yeah. I'm an Eagles fan at this second. I am. What about you, Josh? What do you got? What's going on new in your Tree of Geek world, future, crystal ball?
Well, we might as well stay
Atlantia.
in space. You just reminded me of something I just saw the other day, and I had to look it up here real quick. NASA's, it's called the Parker Solar Probe. Have you heard about it?
I saw a headline.
So it is a satellite that has made what they're calling record-breaking, journeys. It's the first and only thing to ever what they call touch the sun. It got close enough that it actually went through. They're calling it the
Okay. I know what you're talking
corona,
about now.
basically the outer atmosphere of our sun, and survive first off, and still be in full functioning condition.
Interesting.
Yeah, very. And
I think I saw some screenshots of this, like seeing the swirl.
yeah, they got
of-
some incredible pictures back, but they also got audio. They recorded, I guess you could call it like the solar waves, the solar audio or whatever, and it
That's what I fall asleep to.
doesn't sound like much, but at the same time, it's really interesting.
Solar ASMR.
And I've already heard people saying it sounds like people screaming in hell.
Oh, Event Horizon.
Of course, yeah. Great.
I heard the sun got canceled too. Some about being too woke and bright. I don't know.
Well, I watched the first 2 episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. They recently came out in our time.
Spider-Man.
No, so the intro is actually pretty good. They have that mixed in, but it also has like a good upbeat feel to it. I do like that. While I like it, I do have a few things I want to pick apart on it, but I'm not really going to get into them here just because they're personal, annoyances, I guess you could say.
Yeah, keep your opinions to yourself.
Yeah, screw you too. But all in all, I'd recommend it. It's starting out pretty strong story-wise. I'm curious.
Is it going to be like 10 episodes, you think? Something like that?
I'm guessing, yeah, it's probably going to be close to like X-Men.
It's on Disney, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a Marvel animated property.
Yeah.
It's actually the Marvel animation like they do for What If and all those.
Yeah, so it's definitely on Disney then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it basically takes place in a parallel universe. Everything's different, Instead of Tony Stark, I guess he's going to have Norman Osborn as his mentor. At least that's the way it looks like it's leading.
No, I've never seen that happen before.
So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I got to interject here real quick. I was going to watch Elevation today, It was going to be my new of Geek because we talked about it in the last podcast. I was like, oh, listen, I watched your movie, even though you spoiled the entire thing for me.
I spoiled the first 2 minutes. I'm telling you. Everything I told you was literally in like hey, here's our captions in the beginning. Read this.
That's what we'll find out. But I wasn't able to because I had to do classroom stuff today.
Yep.
You know.
And well, you remember I told you, like, it seems like everywhere they go, somebody marked off that 8,000 foot mark. I mentioned that to a guy at work today, and he was trying to justify it. He's like, well, they probably just did it as they went. I'm like, but it's literally everywhere. Whose job was it to walk right on the edge?
Bill's.
Bill's. There we go. It was Bill.
Bill. Yeah, the poor Bill's.
Was he wearing a leather jacket?
Not very good for that environment. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, those airplane guys, they wore leather jackets up in the elevation and back in World War I and II, right?
The bomber jackets?
Bomber jackets, hell yeah. I'd wear a bomber jacket.
But that's all I've got. So if you guys are ready, we can really start getting into this.
Yeah, we have 3 hours to go, so let's roll.
All right. Well, before we get into it, the last thing I will mention.
John's asleep already.
I believe that. If you go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Tree of Geek and sign up for $5 a month, for a limited time, a limited run, we are giving away a free Tree of Geek tumbler with every new Patreon member.
And what's going to be on the tumbler?
Our logo, and we can put your name on it.
All right, on. So somebody's like, D's nuts, throw in $5.
I don't care. Yeah.
You're getting D's nuts on that cup.
So, but you guys both have one, and you can both attest, like, they're good quality. They're nice cups.
Yeah.
I mean, I have one right here, but it has Flyers logo on it. But
Emily takes mine to work.
Well, how nice.
Yeah, shows it off.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So with that, let's get into this.
Okay.
So
sure.
Let's just do it straightforward.
And I got to say ahead of time, though, before we even go any farther,
Jeez.
I might not, I'm sorry if my enthusiasm isn't where it needs to be for this episode.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's not Lethal Weapon.
This is definitely not one of my favorite movies of all time that I've been watching since I was like 10 over and over and over.
The soundtrack like 40 times?
No, and it was only like 3 or 4 times a line. And I've only been singing It's a Kind of Magic over and over and over and Who Wants to Live Forever and, just
that remixed version.
Just puked in my mouth.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into this now. We are looking at Highlander. Heads up. There will be
heads up.
Spoiler. I see what you did there.
Somebody cuts your head off, asshole.
There will absolutely be spoilers.
Spoilers.
Especially for the first movie, but just anticipate it for all of it. So
we're going to touch on some other movies as we go along, possibly, and I will have a section where we discuss all of the other movies very briefly.
If you're, if it's on your watch list and you haven't gotten to it yet, I hate to say it, but you probably want to turn us off now because we're going to get into this. So, Michael or John, whoever gets there first, what is Highlander?
Highlander is a movie from...
Well, he didn't even try.
I didn't.
John, what year did Highlander come out?
1968.
What?
What?
That's what I have.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
1960.
AI
85 or...
He used that new deep seek.
I did. No, I got the numbers transposed now.
So 1986.
1986.
Dyslexia, that's best, folks.
Holy shit. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that old.
86.
It is a 1986 science fiction fantasy movie with sword fighting.
Science fiction. We can't do that then.
Science fiction fantasy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for this one, it's kind of more fantasy. As you go down the line, they make it more science fiction.
I have a lot to say about the second one, but okay. Please continue.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about the director and stuff, or just what the basic movie's about?
Give us a premise. What is it? If you were explaining to me, hey, you should watch Highlander, what would you say?
All right. I would say there are immortals, and they have to fight till there's only one left, and that's by cutting each other's heads off. That's what I would say.
But why do they got to do it?
Well, that wouldn't be my couple lines on the box. You'd have to watch it to find out. That would be me telling you without spoiling the entire fucking thing.
Directed by Russell, what is that, Mulcahy. Mulcahy.
Yeah.
Mulcahy.
So, John, where did you get your research? You just Googled your research, right?
Yeah.
Where did you get yours from, Josh? Did you watch any videos, or did you just Google too?
Director, writers, cast, all that stuff came off of IMDb.
Okay.
And then the rest of it was my notes as I rewatched it I watched 2 days ago.
Some sections of the producers, the writer talking about this. There's like a YouTube, it's cut into 3 parts. And I watched this short, very, very short documentary on Queen about recording the album. And Wikipedia is where I got some of my information as well. So,
okay.
There we go.
So AI is not involved in this one?
No, I didn't need AI. I've seen this movie enough. I didn't need AI.
We should have had AI give us a description like it did for some of the...
I should do like I did have DeepSeek do it, Gemini do it, and Copilot, and see who has the best description.
Well, because remember, we did that for, what was the movie where it was giving us like the worst...
Die Hard?
Was it Die Hard?
I think,
it was like the worst descriptions ever.
Well, some of the actual descriptions on the back of those box covers were like, this is not even close to the movie.
Oh, that was Dread.
Yes. The action-packed something. Get out of here.
All right. So, yeah. Director Russell Mulcahy. Written by Gregory Wyden, Peter Bellwood, Larry Ferguson, and music, of course, by Queen.
And Michael Kamen, who also did Lethal Weapon. He does the scoring part of it.
Everything about that first movie, in my opinion, was beautifully done. From the music to like the casting choices. I loved it. I thought it was great. If you want, we'll jump right into the casting. We're looking at Chris Lambert.
You have casting first. I had box office performance first. We can go casting first.
My bad.
No, it's fine. You're running it. So go ahead.
No. So casting, I have Chris Lambert as our main character, Connor Lambert.
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah, Connor Lambert. Connor MacLeod.
Of the Clan MacLeod.
Also known as Russell Nash, briefly. Sean Connery as, Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez. I did not put the inflections on that correctly. John, can you do it for us?
Nope.
Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez.
All right, I'll take that. Also known as simply Ramirez. Clancy frickin' Brown as the Kurgan.
Who does a really good Christopher Lambert impression, by the way.
Victor Kruger. Oh, does he really?
Yeah, that's one of the... I saw some of my info was there was a Q&A with him. People were asking questions from the audience. And I got some of that in here, too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Roxanne Hart as Brenda Wyatt. B.D. Edney as Heather MacLeod. She was a very good actress, by the way. I liked her in this a lot.
You didn't see part 3, but she shows back up. Or part 3. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Man, spoilers.
I'll get there.
I already said there's spoilers, bro.
Yeah, we already said it. Alan North as Lieutenant Frank Moran. Sheila Gish as Rachel Ellenstein. And John Polito as Detective Walter Bedsoe. Do you have anybody I missed?
Nicola Ramsey is young Rachel.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's a bunch of other
that was in the extended version, keep in mind.
Yeah, the Immortal version, I think it's called. Christopher Malcolm is Matudis, detective. Peter Diamond is Vazil. Then you have a bunch of rustlers in here. Billy Hartman and James Cosmo. James Cosmo is a fucking treasure, by the way. I love James Cosmo as Dougal and Angus MacLeod. And that's pretty much all the people you really need to know about for this film.
Yeah.
Those are the main people. Yeah.
Yeah, don't lose your head over it. So
don't lose your head. That's a good song.
How did this movie do? IMDb, I've got 7 out of 10.
It's pretty good.
At 151,000 ratings, which I was a little disappointed. I thought I'd have a lot more people rating it, but that's still really good for that.
That's because all the people that really like it don't take the time to get on the internet and rate movies.
That is true. So how did it do at the box office?
I don't have that.
I do.
But I had Rotten Tomatoes at 69%. Its audience is 79%. My rating is 8.5 out of 10.
Oh, yeah. I give it an 8.59 out of 10 easy. So, John, if yours is anything like The Date, you're going to tell us it brought in like, what, $100 billion?
Actually, no.
I mean, I have it. It's just way later in my notes here.
Oh.
Okay. So, funny thing you bring that up. It had a budget of $19 million.
Which is not high, but it wasn't low in the 80s. It was a pretty solid budget.
As much of a cult classic as it is now, it only raked in $13 million after release worldwide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't do great.
It did not. It didn't start to get popular until like later on. And then after that, then you had the movies and then the spin-off TV series.
So what really helped this out, getting its cult status, we can jump ahead way to that part here, is at that time, after its box office release, is when a lot of movies are getting pumped out on VHS. VHS were now getting accessible to people. People were able to buy VCRs. And this is one of the first big waves, it's because this came 85. This is like really early. So people they started renting it. A lot of the video stores were getting popped up, the mom and pop places. And this really gave it like a second life. I watched it for like the first time. I'm going to say I was in 7th grade. So we're talking, I don't know, it's probably like 11, 13, somewhere around there. And it was on VHS. My buddy's dad went and rented it. and I watched it like 3 times in a row with my buddy Walter.
You know, we see that story with a lot, though. With a lot of like the movies. Like, remember Demolition Man? It did not do that great in theaters at all, but then it got a resurgence like what, a year, 2 years after it released on VHS.
Roughly, yeah.
Well, think about the early 80s too. I think a lot of people, I mean, it's hard even today to see a lot of movies. Think about it, like back then, the early 80s were kind of hard on people as far as like finances go. So, you know, we can't all be E.T. and Indiana Jones and Star Wars. You know, sometimes a lot of movies don't.
No matter how many movies came out trying to be.
Which were quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
John, what's your rating on it?
Out of 10.
Out of 10, I'd say about 8.4.
8.4.
Yeah.
1 point below me. Okay,
Wow.
that's fine.
I mean, I liked it. It's a movie I was able to watch.
Was it because of Fazil's flippy flips?
No. No.
That's one of my notes. Fazil's flippy flips.
It's one of those movies I could watch if it was on TV, but I'm not going to actively go searching for it.
Wow.
See, I would.
Yeah.
It's one of the ones.
I could watch it once a year.
It's like Demolition Man. If someone gets talking about it, I'll get into that mood of like, man, I could watch that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, such a good movie. So we should talk about it.
Let's talk about it. What part do you want to talk about first? Do you want to just, how are we doing this? Are we just going through the movie or what?
I figured we would just jump through the highlights. I mean, the movie starts out at a wrestling match of all places. Like,
do we want to sprinkle in trivia or just go through it?
Sure.
Because I kind of have all the trivia in my head. I don't really.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the trivia written down.
Well, if there's a section where you have your 1-page notes about it, then pop in there. Go right ahead.
No, so.
And that's not where
that,
it starts, but
right.
Go ahead.
What do you mean?
Well, there's a whole snippet before that with Ramirez.
Oh.
There's a whole talking, from the dawn of time we came.
Yeah.
And you know why there's an echo?
No.
Because Sean Connery recorded that in the bathroom, and they recorded it over a phone in the bathroom, and the people that heard it were like, oh, yeah, that's fine. They didn't realize the quality. So then when they received the file, however you receive a file back then on tape, I guess, and they went to put it in, there was an echo, but like he was already booked up in another movie or TV show, whatever he was doing, so they just had to go with it.
I mean, I thought it sounded fine.
I thought it was supposed to sound that way.
Yeah.
He recorded that in the bathroom.
Then we go to the wrestling match.
Yeah. And was it always supposed to be a wrestling match?
I have no idea.
No. It was supposed to be a hockey match. The NHL said no. The producers went to him and said, listen, we're doing this at Madison Square Garden. Went to the National Hockey League, said, hey, man, we want to do this. We want Connor in the crowd. You got the sticks flying up. It's going to remind him of battle. And that's when you get your flashbacks to the battle. And they said, no, we don't want any more enhancement on our violence of our sport. We're not going to let you do this.
Really?
So they had to pick.
Man.
They had to do wrestling instead.
That I feel like they missed a huge opportunity there.
Yes, they did.
But I love it because like it's panning this wild, crazy crowd, and then you get to just this super stoic, deadpan.
Yeah,
Connor MacLeod.
There is a guy with a hockey mask in the scene though. Yeah, he has like the old school like goalie helmet on, like not like a Jason one, but like encompasses his whole entire head. So I thought at least there was a guy with at least they got the hockey guy in there. They credit the director for doing this. He directed a lot of Duran Duran videos, a lot of other MTV type stuff. Razorback, which is a very underrated 80s horror movie that I watched recently. Wow, that's a fucking nuts, crazy Australian fucking horror movie with a giant razorback murdering people in the Australian outback. But they credit him for being able to make it work despite having a lot of stuff being taken away from them because of his being able to just work with small budgets on music videos.
So what happens next? He watches the wrestling match and that's it? Goes home?
There's war. You got some flashbacks to Scotland. Then he meets Fazil in the garage. And Fazil does a bunch of flippy flips from one end of the ground. For some reason, he just says, hey, I'm going to do like 20 flips right now. Nobody notices anything going on. There's no security. Nobody's going to leave wrestling early. Nobody's getting there late. Nobody's in this fucking parking garage. While these two guys are sword fighting each other. One's in a 3-piece suit.
Yeah. Well, I loved how like they're in there, they're things are getting ramped up, and all of a sudden Connor pulls this sword out of like his pant leg or something. Like, how are you not stiff legging it out?
That's the magic of Highlander. Where do all these swords come from?
It's like one of those 3D printed or like the kid swords that like collapse in on themselves.
After that, we get our first quickening. We understand it's not called the quickening yet. We don't know that yet, but we get to see Connor. He cuts off Fazil's head, and shit goes crazy. Shit's blowing up. I always love the scene. There's one window wiper. And at the same time, right after that, one little tiny piece of glass falls off the corner of the fucking car's front light. The headlight just chink. I don't know. I've seen it so many times. I'm like, I'm always looking for that little piece of glass to fall. And even at that point, all the sprinklers go off and nobody rushes to the garage to see what the hell's going on.
See, that's the most
It's blowing up.
That is the most unrealistic part of the entire movie. Because if you've ever had a sprinkler system go off, that water's black for the first, like, 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Especially back in the 80s, where their sprinkler systems used to be. Yeah.
Years ago when I worked in a factory, I drove a forklift, and I remember there was this new girl. She was getting trained. She put her boom up too high, and we even said, "Hey, hold on a second," but she backed out.
Ooh.
And like there's the forks, and there's like the cage wall behind it.
Mhm.
The top of that clipped one, and we just watched as it just snapped off and just water. It took about half an hour for the fire department to get there and shut everything off, and they said that those systems are designed to pump out something like 40 or 50 gallons a minute.
Wow.
Or actually, it might be more than that. I don't remember. But that water smelled like death.
Gross.
Oh, of course, it's been sitting in there for
Oh, it was horrible.
Stagnant.
After that, we jump to Scotland, 1536. We get to see a nice battle between the MacLeods and the Frasers. We get to see Kurgan for the first time. He basically says, listen, Murdoch, anybody can get killed on this battlefield.
Yep.
But MacLeod is mine.
He said, there's
Connor
someone out
MacLeod
there
is
named
mine.
Connor MacLeod. He is mine.
And this is the part that's, so he's like running around trying to fight people. And not, actually, he's just kind of standing there like, what the hell's going on?
He was actually a pretty bad fighter at that time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it was his first battle. Remember? Because he's like, the first time I went to battle, I peed my kilt. And he's like, he does it all the time. So yeah, he's just sitting there and like all these people, no, not him. Oh, no, not him. Like
Yeah.
So Clancy Brown said that it was pretty wild that they got a bunch of extras from the local towns, but they were so into the fighting that after like the first day of shooting, there was a crap ton of ambulances that had to show up because they all they were like injuring each other.
Oh my word.
And then there was a point where for some reason, somebody thought the bright idea that they weren't going to feed the extras.
Oh, yeah. I have that also on that. Yeah.
Go ahead. What do you got on that?
Yeah. So on the extras, they had like people from Scotland tagging in on this. And he's right. They got into a big fist fight. It got to the point to where Margaret Thatcher got into this. She was so against the whole thing. She condemned it. They ended up burning some type of effigy against her, and it's just like,
oh, okay. So he's got a little twisted here. So they weren't going to feed him lunch or breakfast.
It's like they burned her alive.
Clancy Brown was pissed about it. He stood up for he's like, no, we need to fucking feed these people.
Yeah.
Because Scotland already has an issue with England, and Margaret Thatcher is from England.
Yeah.
At the very end of the shoot, they made a straw effigy of her and burned it.
yeah.
Yeah, so Margaret Thatcher did not stand up for the guy. She wasn't involved in a way. They burned like the Wicker Man version of her. Yeah, just to say "fuck you, England." I don't know, because that's what I mean.
Okay,
and if you want to know why, watch Braveheart, and you understand the animosity between the two. Because apparently, to the king, the only good Scot is a dead Scot.
Well, I'm amazed
watch The Crown.
I'm Scottish, so that pisses me off.
See, I'm amazed that they didn't somehow tweak something of that into the movie, like the burning effigy. You'd think like something like that, they would have tried to record it and just put something like that in there, even if it didn't mean the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the producer, a guy had said that he liked the idea when it comes to him getting banished, that it was kind of like a Jesus thing with him being resurrected. He said, well, at some point he was even not only on a cross, but when he gets banished, he is still... Yeah, and I don't know what you call that. Like it's a walking stockade. I don't know what it is, but they're throwing stones at him and stuff, and they were going to burn him. Remember?
Yeah, they're
James Cosmo's like, there'll be no burning here today.
Yeah.
He's like, can you walk? I bloody well walk out of here.
Now, I think the reason why they didn't add that effigy and things like that is because the way they were shooting the movie was like a guerrilla style because of how low.
I think everything's guerrilla style.
Listen, that's how it was said from the director, man.
Do you know what guerrilla style means?
Yeah, low budget, like quick shots, and you're done. Like
they
one and done.
They give the cameras to a bunch of silverbacks, and the whole goal is avoid them while acting.
I mean,
they actually innovated a lot of shots when they do the flashbacks, the transitions when they go up from the floor of the Madison Square Garden up
Some of those transitions were really clean.
I mean,
Yeah, they were.
They credit the director and then some of the other guys like that should have never been done like that before. Like this is the first movie to make those type
and
of
that's what I mean,
transitions.
like especially for the 80s, a transition like that. Like you used to have like Star Wars think like that fade swipe effect. Like
this is like, oh my
some
God,
of
this could be
these-
one celluloid.
like
piece
this could
here.
almost be like two sets on top of each other. You just panned up.
Yeah, and he
really
did that.
well done.
They all did that because they were their tight budget and they just wanted to keep the pacing up. Like, let's just go. Now, I hate it when you watch a movie, you see a guy get in a car and then he drives the car. You watch him on the road and then he parks in front of an apartment. And then he gets out and then he walks up to the door and then he gets, I mean, all the time that I talked, like that scene's already been transitioned.
Yeah.
And then I appreciate that. Just like cut the fat.
We know you had to walk down the hall to get here. Yeah.
And so what happens really after this, Russell Nash, as he's being called, gets arrested. You have a really racist, bigoted piece of shit cop who's one of the worst cops I've ever seen on screen. So some really, really homophobic stuff.
But I gotta admit, some of it was
Hilarious.
especially for the 80s. Because what he said, cruising for a piece of ass.
Why? He's like, you sound like a meh, Nash. And he goes, why? What are you looking, cruising for a piece of ass? And then they fight each other. And then like everybody behind outside of that office, like all the people that are arrested, like cheer and stuff because he beat the shit out of this cop for a quick second.
Didn't he throw him through the window or he broke the window or something like that?
Yeah, he like throws him against the wall.
No,
And
that's later, I think. But yeah. Oh, my word.
Yeah, and well, I skipped past the part. This is where the Kurgan kills Connor. It was in the flashback. I forgot that. So Connor dies.
He doesn't take his head off. He just stabs him.
No, he just stabs him. Well, he's going to, but then
Which
all the extras went and tackled him. And he said that they were all a little too into that as well. They all just kind of...
See, I had wondered about that, why he stabbed them and left. I guess I missed the...
He didn't leave. He got tackled by all the other people.
Yeah, I guess I kind of missed that.
His cousins, Dougal, and everybody rush him.
You're doing too much.
And the cop's called Garfield. That's the asshole. It's Garfield. Yeah.
Maybe he was hungry.
Yeah. We find out that Victor Krueger is 6'3" and Connor MacLeod's 5'11", by the way. We find that because of the description, because somebody's running around New Jersey cutting people's heads off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they want to know if this is connected.
Will definitely throw up a red flag, just for the record. People don't like that. So
Decapitations?
Yeah.
No.
And then I like how like they go back to the scene, you know, the murder in the parking garage, and the female detective shows up and she's looking at it, and she just immediately pulls this little shard of metal out of a cement pillar, and immediately like, I know what sword this is from. This is ancient.
Well, she know exactly. She had to do the metallurgy thing. She had to put
was
in a
looking
little.
at it, and she made comments about how like she knew that this shouldn't be here. Like,
well, that's because she does she writes a book on swords.
You just found what you called $1 million sword laying on the ground, and you're wondering why there's a piece of what looks like a sword in a pillar. I mean,
well, she didn't know why the piece was there. She wanted to know why that specific piece, after she'd done the research, it had been folded over 200 times. She said it wasn't supposed to exist
yet. Right. Okay.
Yeah. That was jumping ahead in my notes here. Before that, no, it's fine.
Oh, no.
No, it's perfectly logical. That does happen. Roughly the same type of movie.
I retire.
Yeah. So we do get Victor Krueger shows up. That's what Kurgan's going around. He decides to get a hooker. He does some really good sword practice. This blade, there's a novelization of this book, and we find out when Connor met Heather, and which we didn't get to her yet. But then when he's doing the flippy thing on his arm, so that we find out where he gets that sword. And anybody likes part 3, you might understand why the Mongols have a thing about Kurgan, and they don't really mention him, but they have sort of a love affair with him, is because he kills a Mongol in the books. So I think that's where Kane from part 3, there might be a connection somewhere.
Now, do you feel like you could just skip the second movie, go 1 to 3, and...
Well, I have the whole chronological thing, and it should be watched way later. Okay. And I'll say why.
Well, I can see why, but okay.
Yeah. So he shows up. There's a really nasty dude. He fights a hotel room with that nasty thing on his mouth. What, he got a fucking cold sword the size of a fucking quarter? I don't know.
John, what do you think of the movie so far? I mean, you said that you haven't seen it in like, what, 10 years?
Not that long, but yeah, I do like that. I do like the movie. Like, again, it's not something I would like. I'm not going to actively go watching, but again, if it's on TV, I'll stop and watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But with like stuff like,
as long as you're not going to flip right past it. Do people still flip through channels anymore? I don't.
No, now you just stream and click
Yeah,
on something.
Okay.
Well, unless you have Hulu Live, I guess. But then you get to see what's on before.
Yeah, because like movies like this, I usually kind of pick out like continuity errors and like stuff like that. Like in this movie alone, I was able to notice like there's certain logos that'll show up and then like it'll like disappear. Like what is the the Silver Cup logo? You'll see it in one scene and then it's like it's like gone. You'll see like people who have like sunglasses on their head and then one scene and then the next scene it's gone.
So just continuity reshoots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of the way that they're shooting the movie.
I mean, even Top Gun was guilty. So,
Yeah,
you know,
but I like
Which
all of them.
the first one.
I would say I don't think I've ever seen a movie where there wasn't some type of continuity
Yeah,
issues.
even Lethal Weapons got it.
But I like the older movies like that because it's just
Alien
like it's
doesn't.
neat to see that.
All the aliens make sense.
Yeah, of course they do, even part 3. Yeah, so pretty much after this, we kind of breeze through. Okay, so Kurgan ends up getting in a street fight with Connor. We find out that not only is Garfield a piece of shit cop, but we find out that all the other New York cops are really inept at their job.
Oh yeah.
So a helicopter shows up as he's fighting Connor when Brenda throws him the thing. Here, defend yourself with this piece of pipe. But then this helicopter shows up. Hey, you two stop. And then they just both run. All 3 of them run. And then they're never caught by the helicopter. So this is just part 2 of the cops being dumbasses.
Well, it completely reminded me of the police in Beastmaster 2. They were just completely worthless.
Keystone cops, man.
the
Keystone cops.
entire time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No hate against cops in any way. It's just the 80s that you either portrayed them as the ultimate heroes, like Predator. Was it Predator 2? Like they were like the badass
John
cops,
Hardigan.
or they're just morons. Like,
Yeah.
there's no in between.
Around this time, we get Ramirez shows up. Now, this is way back in the 1530s, 40s. He shows up, says, hey, man, we're going to... did I step on your toes?
No, I was just going to say, you skipped right past one of the best scenes in the church.
We didn't get to the church yet.
I thought that was before the pipe fight.
No, church is way after that.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Please continue.
Yeah, that's way after that. This is the first time that he goes, good to see you again. And then he hits his head off the back of the thing.
Oh, okay.
He's like, good to see you go.
Gotcha. It was
Yeah.
before he shaved his head.
Yeah. I'm in disguise. And we'll get to why he did some of those scenes and set them the way he did as well. So way back Scotland, we find that Connor has found a new woman. His last one wanted to burn him because he was with the devil.
Yeah, she turned on him real quick.
Yeah, real fast, dude. She was on something. And then Heather's definitely an upgrade anyway. Ramirez shows up. He gets a real weird pain, the same pain he felt when he saw Kurgan. He's like, you're feeling this because I'm another immortal. He tells him about the game, what the whole shebang is about. I'm not going to go through every single little detail there.
We'll discuss that later, though,
yeah,
because
we
I
get it.
have some, I guess, questions and thoughts on the whole premise. But yeah.
Okay. We get a good training montage. He teaches him about being immortal, how to sword fight, how to, breathe underwater, all those things.
That is the one thing. Like when I think of Highlander, what's the first scene you think of, John?
like swords fighting.
Like normally it's like under the big marquee, the ending fight.
Yeah,
Under
yeah.
Silver Cup.
What do you think of right away?
Oh, when I think Highlander, there can be only one.
See, the
Yeah,
first
Very
thing
end. Yeah, that's
every
what I think.
time, the first thing I think of is that scene of him walking up out of the lake or river. Like,
Here, I got some behind the scenes on that. So he walks up, fish fall out of his trousers, right out of his kilt.
yeah,
His kilt was too short. They couldn't really get it to happen. So they rigged up a giant pipe behind him that you cannot see on camera. They fed fish through it so that it would fall out.
I love the
through his
80s.
kilt. Yeah, just a giant fucking pipe. Just some PVC. Just throw,
Well, it's like Netflix did that Movies That Made Us. And some of the old 80s horror movies, the way they did the special or the practical effects, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, you can just throw it into a computer and say, let's
Well, they
spruce this
said,
up.
I think it was Jason. It was like toner ink and stuff like that they used or something like that. And they basically said like the dummy that they were going to stab and everything, like you have literally one shot to get this right. We don't have extras. We don't have more equipment. Like you have one shot to do this scene.
Make it good.
That's right. Well, I mean, you're a shoestring budget for so many of these things.
Which I actually just found out, the band Electric Callboy.
Yeah, they have a new song out that's killing right now.
Oh,
killing.
I actually love
Like
it.
Elevator. I didn't get a chance to listen
It's
to
called
it yet.
Elevator Operator. The whole song is about an elevator, a guy in the elevator who runs it. I guess it's based on an elevator operator in Chicago at a House of Blues that they just were infatuated with. I don't know.
We should watch it after this
we
pod.
should. But they did one before that called Rat Tat 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 or something.
Yeah,
with
it was it killed for a long time. It was on some charts.
Well, I was watching an interview with Nico and I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry.
I don't know their actual names.
The two singers, and they said that the walls that they bust through, they were told like when they got on set, like, hey, we only built one of each. You get one shot. So if you fall through it, we're using it. And it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it all worked out for the best, right?
Oh, have you ever listened to them, John, or watched their videos?
Negative.
Oh, they are.
You've heard Electric Callboy. You've heard Eskimo Callboy too. You just don't know it. I've played it.
Yeah.
You just don't know it.
Metal meets techno.
Yeah, Germans.
Yeah.
Yeah. John, hey, did you watch like just the regular version of this, or have you seen like the extended version? Because there's some scenes coming up here that are not in the regular version.
Regular.
The regular, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so, I didn't see these scenes until this watch. Again, just like all the diehards and Lethal Weapons, I saw this stuff when it was on like TBS or whatever, TNT.
Well, the stuff I have of the version I just watched the other day, I have on DVD. So
okay, see, I had to go out on Amazon and find a digital download to buy.
Yeah, which I bought another one because like hook on my DVD player and everything's a whole thing.
I mean, back when I owned DVDs, I absolutely had I think the first 3. But I gave all them away.
I have all 4 on the first 4 on DVD. Yeah.
We have Star Wars now.
Yeah. Hell yeah. First couple of them there.
John, you're not allowed to look at them.
We find out
on your list.
We find out Ramirez is born 896 BC, 2,437 years before all this is going on back in the past. There's a scene that's not on the normal. It's Connor and Rachel face off against some Nazis in a barn. It's when Connor meets Rachel as a little girl. He's in Nazi Germany. He gets to kill a couple Nazis, so that's always fun. And what does he say, Josh? You texted it to me. Whatever you say, Jack, you're the master race.
Oh,
and then he fucking kills him with the machine gun.
Yeah. He basically, oh my word, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah. So Brenda's been following him around a little bit. They decide to go on a date. He's going to go to her apartment, and somehow he's got super senses. She hides a 45. She hides a recorder. He brings her a present, and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead and open this. It's a book of hers that she wrote on swords."
I always love that because like he goes in, she's like, "Oh, I'm almost done getting ready," and walks away, and he immediately walks over. Here's the tape recorder.
Got super sensitive.
Here's the gun.
So what is? Yeah.
Look out the window. Oh, you're being watched.
Remind me, was Connor MacLeod in our sword fighting tournament?
Yeah, I think. Oh man, now I don't remember.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, he should have been. We'll have to redo it.
So he opens up a bottle of brandy from 1783 that is actually a cheap French wine bottle altered for the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I went to look at it. I was like, I wonder how much something like that is worth. And all I know is 1783 was a really good year.
Is that when you sent me that Randy brandy?
Yeah. So I was looking it up, and there's a bottle of brandy that comes in a glass bottle in the shape of a certain male piece of anatomy. What is it called? Randy brandy?
Well, it was like $28, and the description was like brandy for when you're Randy or something like that.
Yeah. But it is, it's a very large phallic.
I will not be putting a picture of this on screen.
Yeah, and that's when she talks about the sword being folded 200 times. So there's a scene back in time as well where Ramirez is talking to Heather and Kurgan comes a calling. They have a big fight between the two, and Ramirez gets his throat, and then they're fighting up the steps. He's like, oh, and he's like, it improved your voice. And he's like, come on. What a good, it was so good. Kurgan seeing Clancy Brown and having him and Sean Connery on screen together, their chemistry was just phenomenal. So good, you get that. And then Heather meets Kurgan again in the wrong way. They don't really show it, but it's probably not fun.
It's definitely implied heavily.
Yes,
actually,
definitely implied.
Mentioned later. Yeah,
so then later on, Connor and Heather, after Kurgan, this whole thing, Connor watches Heather grow old. You get kind of this thing, and she's lying in her deathbed talking about stuff, and it's really shitty and heartbreaking, and I'll try not to cry here. In the Q&A, somebody had asked Clancy Brown, what is your favorite scene of the movie? And he said, when Heather dies. And the writers and the original writer of this, and after all this we'll talk about why he wrote this, how he wrote it, and everything. But basically they all enjoyed a tale, and they talked about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, as we talked about in the last podcast episode. But it's about a guy who has lost everything over and over again, but has to find humor in living. He's losing all his loves. He's losing his best friends. And it's just, I don't know, that scene, the music.
What song?
Who Wants to Live Forever?
By Queen.
Yeah.
Was that written for the movie?
It was. And I have a whole section on Queen and about this. 5 tracks were written specifically for this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was one of them.
Man, fantastic song.
And it really, man, I'll get to it, but there's a thing with Freddie Mercury when he's talking, and it's fucking heartbreaking. So Heather passes away, and so Connor runs into an old buddy, his Castigear. They talk about the past. Next thing you know, Castigear runs into Kurgan. You get this really cool scene where this Marine who's got some PTSD from Vietnam, he sees what's going on. This was shot in London, by the way, not in New York City.
And he just happens to have a machine gun in his back.
He's driving a T-top Camaro. It's playing Hammer's Fall, which is not from the Queen album. It's a Kind of Magic, but again, for years I didn't know that, and I was kept looking for. I was like, "Where's this damn song?" Because I was early in my musical love. It's by Queen.
Oh, it is. Okay,
yeah, it's by Queen. So he goes and he tries. He's like, "All right, this is for real, Marine," and he shoots Kurgan like 52 fucking times with this fucking Uzi. And then out of nowhere, like, Kurgan teleports and stabs him through the gut, lifts him up, and tosses him across. The guy lives, to tell the tale.
Somehow. But
Kurgan jumps in this car. These old couple that's driving by, cuts off the top of the sword, jumps in, looks at the old lady. He's like, "Mom," goes on this crazy fucking drive through New York City with her. Absolutely fucking awesome.
Why would she not get out?
Well, she stands up at one point. And I love the next thing. The cops are at this hot dog stand and they're trying to talk about the case. And this fucking hot dog stand vendor he's looking at the cops, reading this fucking newspaper, and he's like, the front of the newspaper says Headhunter 3 Cop 0, and he's like, "What does incompetent mean?" He's like making fun of the cops like so bad, talking all this shit on them. Like, you cops are idiots. Like, what's going on? So obviously Kurgan needs to get in disguise. People know what he looks like now, right?
Yeah.
Because of this Marine. So we get a scene where he's in church. Connor is in there lighting, because he's supposed to light a candle for Heather on her birthday.
Every year for what? Couple hundred years?
Yeah, for a long time. Since probably 1550, somewhere around there, 1560. Kurgan rolls in, puts out all the fucking candles. They get in an argument. And Clancy Brown's favorite line, he says, is from this scene, where he says, "Remember, holy ground, remember what Ramirez taught you." He says that's his favorite scene in the whole entire movie, which I thought was pretty cool. Or not his favorite scene, but his favorite line that he had to say, "Holy ground, Highlander, remember what Ramirez taught you." Like, that's his favorite deal. So they don't fight, but then, so this is a British scene that is not in like the original. I guess it wasn't theatrical, which I always saw it, but before they put it on VHS, this scene wasn't in there. They thought it was English humor that Americans wouldn't get. So when he licks the priest's hand, that part wasn't in there.
Huh.
And somebody had asked him, "What's your favorite line?" And then somebody in the audience yelled, "To burn out and to fade away." And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he repeats it. He goes, "That wasn't even supposed to be in there. It wasn't even in the script. So we just made it up on the fly."
Of course he did.
Yeah. And if anybody is a Def Leppard fan, I always thought they took it from Def Leppard. Maybe they didn't or didn't. I don't know. But they just kind of like popped that out as they went.
And Kurgan definitely embodied the metal side of, the 80s. Like, he tried to go full on.
Yeah. And he wasn't supposed to. And we'll get into that. He's supposed to be like a completely different type of guy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Connor's like, "Listen, Russell Nash dies tonight." He tells, Rachel, she's older. She's been watching his antique shop. He knows Kurgan has just went and kidnapped Brenda.
So on that, sorry. Just
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
That scene where he's talking to Rachel and he's saying, that Nash dies tonight, and like there's what
without the scene with her as a kid, this is hard to make sense.
Yeah, like he said, like there's a note or something like that with like instructions, basically a will, and
he's gonna leave her everything.
Growing up, I never knew who that was because I never saw that scene where he saves her from the Nazis before.
The first couple of times I saw it, I never saw that scene either.
So after I saw it and I heard him call her Rachel, and he called her Rachel earlier, it clicked. This is the first time I realized that's the same girl. He comes back for part 4 too. Because then I started thinking like, well, technically it's only 40 years later after World War II.
Well, he adopts her as his daughter.
Right. It never clicked until this watch through last week.
Yeah.
And then my watch through 2 days ago, I I knew. So, what
Yeah,
about you, John? Did you see the Nazi version?
No, I just saw the normal version of it.
So it was just like his friend to you.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I always thought. It was just he hired her.
Yeah, well, it's weird because without that scene when she like I think she touches his face or something, and sometimes I get a little fuzzy with part 4 because she's in part 4 as well. She's like, I know you better than you know yourself. Like they have this kind of little chemistry and back and forth, and you're like, man, he's like really into his secretary.
Same actress?
You know what I mean? Yeah, same girl,
Okay.
same lady comes back. Yeah, and the same Heather comes back as well.
Yeah,
Heather
you
and
said
Rachel.
that, okay.
Yeah, which is really good, and they make them look
Sean Connery comes back for every single one, I assume.
a flash. I think there's a flash
Of
somewhere.
course there's.
So now you have Kurgan. He's kidnapped Brenda. They're at the Silver Cup. You know, Connor's there. They have their big epic battle. There can be only one. The prize is one, and the prize is apparently the ability to have kids in ESP to read the world's minds of everybody, and so they can all get along.
And remember, it's a kind of magic.
It's a kind of magic. Don't get me started, man.
That's-
dream.
That's what he says to Rachel when she's a girl and when he's saying goodbye.
Remember,
Like,
it's a kind of magic.
It's kind of magic.
Well, I mean, so basically in the Nazi scene, he rolls into a barn. A Nazi dude shows up, shoots Connor. Connor drops. You know, because, you know, and Heather's hiding in this little cubby thing in this little stall. And then the Nazi's going to go get her. And then Connor gets up and then he's like, well, let's go. And does all this German.
And I have
he
it
goes,
written
whatever
here.
you say, Jack.
Yeah, I have it in my notes. I didn't know it's whatever you say, Jack, you're the master race. And then he mows him down.
Yep. Or you say, Jack. Yeah. And so that, I just didn't want to go like scene by scene, but that is basically what happens in the movie. Those are the big cliff notes of the movie.
So many good parts of the movie, though. It's hard to not just want to talk about them all. It is one of the most memorable and quotable movies.
Oh, I just fucking.
Maybe not most quotable, but there's so many good one-liners and stuff. Like, so yeah. This
What do you want to talk? What section you want to go to?
Well, I mean, this brings us to the face-off.
Yeah, that's what I said. The final battle. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's what that was.
John, tell us all about the final battle. What do you remember? You're not getting away with just sitting there quiet.
Yeah,
I know. I kind of took the reins on that whole part. So go ahead and tell
you
us.
said that you don't like this movie, so it's understandable.
I mean, it's okay.
What do you like better, this or Lethal Weapon?
Ooh.
Lethal Weapon 1 is better.
Okay.
Lethal Weapon is a better
give it to
movie.
you. Okay.
And it does have more replay value, but man, this movie's just fun. It's
It is.
legit just fun.
It is.
But this isn't the question being tossed to me. John, tell us about the final battle. What happens in your memory 6 years ago when you saw it? What happens between Connor and Kurgan and Brenda?
So honestly, I don't remember too much about it. My only real battle I can really remember is whenever Kurgan is fighting Connery's character, the Spaniard Ramirez.
That is a really good scene, though.
It is, but like the reason why I like that fight the most is just because of just what all they had to do into it. Because I mean, they're over here wearing literal car batteries, fighting, and they can only hold these swords for so often before they overheat.
Because they wanted the sparks and everything. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that comes to mind is like when Brown was coming through the door, he goes to smash he goes to hit the table with his sword, hits it with a broadside, breaks the table by accident. A piece of like the table goes towards Connor. He freaks out, and they're just like
Sean Connery.
Yeah.
You mean?
So he freaks out. He puts on and apparently he walks away bitching and screaming. But my thing is, Clancy,
behind the scenes, you mean?
Yeah, behind the scenes because Clancy Brown wasn't supposed to break the table.
Did they not get along?
Clancy Brown talked about him they were fine. I think it was
Okay.
probably just a quick second.
It was a quick second thing, but Clancy was just like, oh shit, I'm sorry, because it's funny because you're seeing the Kurgan, but outside of character, he's just like,
he's a really super nice guy, Clancy Brown.
yeah.
Which is funny, 'cause he usually plays the dickheads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
he was the guard in Shawshank Redemption.
He was the general in The Flash.
Yeah, the people you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And Sean Connery was only on set for a certain amount of time. He had other commitments, so he wasn't there for all this shoot.
Well,
they only had him for a minute.
I mean, in the 80s, he was kind of in his prime.
Yeah.
Well, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean,
Yeah, if he would have asked my mother, he was in his prime till the day he died.
Okay.
My mother had a huge thing for Sean Connery. Huge thing. She had, she was always like, "Oh, that's Sean Connery." I'm like, "Come on." I mean, listen, the dude was James Bond. He was a lady magnet. He was got that accent.
You remember the movie The Rock with Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, I love The Rock.
Was he James Bond in that movie? Because it's hinted at a lot.
I mean, I'll let you go on with your Reddit theories there on another episode, but sure, there's a lot of theories that he was playing him. Yeah,
but
so that whole sequence you're talking about, there's a good bit of scenes that Clancy said that you don't really see Sean Connery clear because it's another person that's doing the sword work.
And that was one. That was one. He's just like, all right, we're using my stunt double for this.
Well, do you know who this person was?
The stunt double?
The stunt double / guy that they...
Because the only one I really have, like, as far as swordsman, is the person who was training Christopher Lambert. Like, I know that was Bob Anderson, the guy who played Darth Vader's physical body.
Oh,
yes, yeah. So what? Yeah, I'm glad because I was flipping through my notes, couldn't remember his name. I knew it was a Darth Vader guy.
Yep.
He was, according to Clancy Brown, like he's like an amazing, like he taught so many people in so many different movies how to sword fight. So there's scenes like kind of far away that is not Sean Connery, that it is this guy doing it.
What was his name?
Bob Anderson.
Bob Anderson, I think.
Yep.
Is that correct?
I'm going to look him up now. I want to see like what all he was involved in.
Yeah.
I mean he was doing the Darth Vader shit in the outfit. Yeah. What's your next section? Where do you want to go here?
Well, I figured we would just our opinions on the final fight, really. Okay, so for me, the final fight was just one of the best climaxes that I've seen in a movie. You knew it was coming. You knew it was going to be insane. And then they just kind of took that, especially for the 80s, and again, added water to it. But they just made it this crazy sword fight with the extra stakes of the electrified water and Brenda trying to crawl, away from it. And then they end up falling down through, and now they're in this.
As Curtis like chopping down the Silver Cup sign.
Yes, yeah. And they fall into like this conveniently empty warehouse. Like, it was beautiful.
I like when they fall down, right? He kicks the sword away. He's throwing Connor around. He's about to fucking take his head. Brenda jumps in real quick.
Took it long enough.
Yeah. And then when he gets his sword and stands up, the music changes.
Yes.
It changes to, okay, now we're not playing around anymore. Connor puts his classic stance, puts his hand up, puts the sword up and over, like, now.
Yep.
Now he's going to pull out that shit that Ramirez taught him.
Well, most amazing fight scenes have that turning point in the fight where the hero basically has had enough. It's time to finish this. One way or another, we're finishing this.
There's a few sword fights in all of sci-fi and fantasy that I just put way up at the top. Obviously, I love Revenge of the Sith. I know a lot of people, it's not their favorite, but Obi-Wan versus Anakin, and that is amazing to me. You definitely have some Conan stuff. You have some Lord of the Rings stuff, but this scene, this one is definitely up there for me as one of my favorite fight. It's maybe not the most technically sound one,
right?
But it's just fun. And the thing is, to me, when you watch a lot of fantasy movies and people are doing these flippity doodads and doing these crazy moves, like it's kind of like in Batman Returns when the one dude's like flipping around and stuff, he just punches him in the face. In real life, when people are really throwing swords around, they're not doing all this crazy stuff. Yeah. They're really just trying to fucking kill each other. It's not fencing, I'm not saying there's not fencing movies in there. I want to, if there's professional sword fighters out there listening to this or competitive fighters, like I'm not one of you and I don't want to step on your toes. But I'm pretty sure in real life, if you were on a battlefield trying to take somebody on, you're not going to be doing some weird, crazy Men in Black, Princess Bride Carrie stuff. Yeah, no, we're like, okay, we're going to do a couple things here and try to take your head off. Why do you think there was armor back in the day that was built up?
Yeah.
There's even in the Highlander, the Source, the main bad guy has the fucking
wing things.
Yeah.
The pop.
They keep trying to cut his head off and it keeps king. It's like, dude, it's there. Stop. Whatever. We're not at that movie yet. We're only on this one. Yeah, I love it. I love the final fight scene. I love all of it. Oh, I forgot about the sexy time in the zoo breakup. Yeah, Brenda confronts about the Nash. She stabs him. Then they have sexy time.
That was a very random, like...
It's not as weird as the part 2 sexy time.
Yeah, that
he gets resurrected in a way, kills the two guys, and then he just walks over and just starts...
They go through
Deborah Unger and him are just like, we're doing this right now.
They go through the ultimate of sci-fi.
Or not Deborah
battles.
Unger, it's the other girl from Candyman.
Yeah, her. But like they go through this big battle, gets young again, and then she's just like, I'm going to make out with you and have sex now.
Yep. Boom. Done. From watching a lot of the videos, this is kind of what I picked up on here. Now, this is going off of what people said. I could read the Wikipedia file to you. I will say, everybody out there, if you want to go over to Wikipedia, there's a lot more information on there that I found to be pretty accurate. I mean, sometimes Wikipedia is wonky. I'm not saying everything is true, but basically what I heard in the videos is kind of on there with a little bit extra. the creation of this is from a guy called Gregory Wyden. He goes to UCLA, wants to be a film student. He's got to pay for this. In California, unfortunately, we know about the fires out there. Their paramedics and their firefighters are paid.
Right.
When he's 17, he decides, I'm going to get a paramedic's license. He even said, I don't know why I even did that. I just thought it'd be cool. So when he goes out to California, because he already had that license, they're like, well, you can be a firefighter. It made him go through the testing a lot easier. So half of the time in between fire calls, he's writing this movie as one of his assignments for college. Now he says a lot of people write these movies, as their assignments. The professors say they're good, they're bad. A lot of people just chuck them. Apparently his professor said, hey, this is pretty decent. You got something going on here. So he gets an agent, finds somebody, to option the movie. He says that, if he would have told me this was garbage, I probably would have thrown it in the garbage and we wouldn't have got a Highlander. But because my professor said this was half decent, I decided to try to make something of it. And here we are.
And this was McKay?
No, this is Gregory Wyden, the original writer.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
The original writer. So
he didn't direct it as well.
No, but he was on set.
Right. Okay.
He was around. He's, and we'll get to, there's a part with him and Clancy Brown here. He says that he did enjoy the movie, but it's a little bit comic book-ish. What do you say? Comic booky, I think is what he says in the interview.
And I think that's what makes it great.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
It's so over the top.
The reason he says this is because Clancy Brown, Kurgan, and Clancy Brown comes to him several times on set saying, dude, why am I doing this? Why is my scene like this? Why? So basically his idea of Kurgan was this. Here is a guy older than Connor MacLeod who has lost absolutely everything. Maybe he loved somebody, maybe he didn't, but he's lost everything. The only fucking reason this guy gets out of bed every morning to keep going on is the game, is the prize. It's his only goal. Okay, he wasn't supposed to be cracking jokes. He wasn't supposed to be like Freddy Krueger.
And none of them knew what the prize was, right?
I don't know. I don't know if they knew what the prize was or not.
Okay, I was always under the assumption that they didn't know.
No, well, yeah, the Immortals don't know. Obviously, the writer, I don't know if they did behind the scenes or not.
Right,
but the characters don't know what the prize is now.
Right. That's what I mean. Okay.
So Clancy Brown has, they have this idea that maybe he should be in a bowler hat, in a 3-piece suit, more of a sadistic, tortured killer. But because, he wasn't in charge and he couldn't really do anything, the producers and the director decided to make him more fun. That's why he has the one-liners, and the whole scene with the church wasn't supposed to even go down that way. They wanted him just to be this kind of serious serial killer-esque vicious guy.
Wow.
But they felt they needed more fun in the movie. So that's why he's completely different than what he is.
Trying to picture some of those scenes with
well, in the novelization stuff, like I guess they kind of drew from the original script, is like you see him facing off against other people and kind of learning where Kurgan sort of came from, what he's lost along his life, where you don't really get a lot of backstory. He's just a bad guy who wants to put the world in darkness, which I hate that trope so bad.
Well, it's kind of like we said on a previous episode about writing. Joe, our mutual friend Joe, said like a good way to give your villain a solid character backstory is to just write him as the hero of his story, not even to publish it, but just to get an idea in your own head of where is this character coming from.
Yeah, and you think about it, like Kurgan probably thinks he is the hero of his own. In one version where he's not so crazy, and even then he probably thinks he is. But think about a guy that's maybe more serious. Like he just wants to finish it too. And like Connor, what the producers and writers kind of liked about this guy, he's just a simple farm boy from the Scotland Highlands. All right. He doesn't care about the game. He doesn't care about the prize. He wants to live with Heather. He wants to have kids. He just wants to grow old and die. Mm-hmm. But they love the reluctance of him. That's what they kind of sold him on this, is a guy who reluctantly has to get up. He's got to go deal with all these people trying to kill him, but still somehow has humor about it through the whole entire movie. He's not just depressed about it. Like he still finds some joy in living, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And that's a lot of times you'll see in fantasy, the guy that becomes the king is the one that didn't even want to have the crown in the first place.
Yeah.
And that's that classic Joseph Campbell.
Well, and he even makes a comment in the second movie when I can't remember her name now, but she says, so you've been alone for like 27 years since your wife died. Isn't it lonely? And he's like, you get used to it.
Yeah.
And she's like, really? He's like, no.
He's like, no, not at all. No.
Well, as he said, like to build your villain like that. I mean, it makes sense because it gives them that backstory. It kind of gets the audience like,
Do you wish there would have been more Kurgan backstory?
I do, because it's not enough to just have the villain. It's to kind of have that why he's the villain and kind of explain it, because
yeah, I would have loved to see an extra 15 minutes tacked on here. There's also a scene that got completely cut out that they don't think has ever seen the light of day. I don't know. You tell me if you think this scene should have been included in the Immortal version or not.
I'm ready.
So it's in the past. Connor is painting some giant mansion house. It's during the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon walks by, knocks into the ladder. Connor MacLeod falls down on top of him. He gets really pissed. He's like, "You fucking asshole, whatever." Connor's like, "No, dude, you're the one that knocked into my ladder." They get in this huge argument. They have Connor arrested. He's like, "I want you executed." Well, I guess it's by, they didn't say how, but I'm assuming it's by like firing squad or something. Connor doesn't die, obviously. And you see there is some scenes in this movie, like in the duel, where he keeps getting stabbed. And that really wasn't even supposed to be in there. In fact, the shooting part of that scene was part of that English humor that was cut out as well. But anyway, when he doesn't die, Napoleon makes him a marshal in his army, because he's like, "Dude, you can't, like, I don't know what you are, how you pulled that off, but I'm going to put you in my army now." And then he's like, I don't know. Do you think that should have been in the movie?
So he goes from "I hate you, you need to die" to "you're my second hand man."
As funny as that would be, I don't think it would have been. I think that would have just been like a time killer.
Yeah, I agree.
I liked when he was drunk and he kept getting stabbed and then shot and then stabbed, and he just kept getting back up. And finally, he he just shook the guy's hand. He's like, "Sorry for calling your wife a fat whatever," and he just walks
Fat
out.
war hog. Yeah.
I just thought that was perfect. I don't think I would have wanted to see expanded.
Well, in that scene there too, I guess the writer was like, he didn't like how it was portrayed because Connor kept getting stabbed. He's like, even though they're immortal, they still feel pain.
Yeah.
And they kind of cut that part out of the immortal development of it all. They kind of, it's like when I was writing it, they're supposed to feel pain. They're supposed to feel trauma going through all these things over and over again. It's kind of like X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is one of the fewer liked X-Men movies out there. You know, whatever. I like some parts of it, but you know, they keep getting killed over and over, him and Sabretooth, just over and over. You know what? I mean, it's, I think they could have touched on some other things, but this movie isn't a short movie. This thing's like,
it's 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours long. I think you had texted me going, "Man, this thing's like 2 hours."
I think it was like an hour and 58 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so that's what I have for like the behind the scenes as far as like the creation of the movie. And I thought I
love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they would have had like you said, like having them show like pain, because in that I feel like it gives them more substance for their characters, and it just I think would have been like nice to see that. Not that I wish that on anybody, but I'm like, yeah. I mean, you get stabbed, it's gonna be like, you're not gonna be like, "Oh, I got stabbed." You're like, "Motherfucker, I got stabbed."
Again, they do show I think in some other sequels how it does hurt a little bit more. They kind of touch on things.
In the second one, and I only say it because I just watched the second one today. There's the scene where MacLeod and Ramirez are driving into that like Supermax prison.
Yeah.
And he literally says, he's like, "You ready?" And then they just get loaded up with machine gun bullets. But then when they wake up, they compare how many shots they took, and that's like a game, who could get shot the most.
Yeah. I didn't hate to as much the first time I saw it as a little kid, as a teenager, but watching it as an adult the other day, because that one I've seen probably the least. Yeah, it's something.
So I watched it today, and okay. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Season of the Witch Halloween movie. It doesn't feel like it fits at all.
Yeah. Other behind the scenes stuff. Not really behind the scenes, but the music. We got to talk about the music here, okay?
Yeah, I want to hear about this interview with Freddie Mercury.
The music is phenomenal. Have you listened to It's a Kind of Magic all the way through?
I'm not.
What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
In preparation for this, yeah.
Are you a fan of Queen, John?
Yes, I am.
Give me two of your favorite Queen songs.
Oh, let's see here.
I mean, there's plenty of them.
Obviously, number one's going to be Bohemian Rhapsody. I love that song.
I'm not sure I agree. I do like it. I don't know if it's my favorite, but.
And Big Bottom Girls.
Fat Bottom Girls.
Yeah.
That's a good one. She was a naughty nanny. For sure. What about you? What's your favorite two Queen songs, you think?
My favorite.
Like right now. I mean, they change all the time for me, but.
Well, yeah. No, my absolute favorite has always been David Bowie and Queen.
Under Pressure.
And then I always loved Who Wants to Live Forever, or whatever the actual title of it's called.
Yeah, it's a good slow song.
What is the actual?
Who Wants to Live Forever?
Is it the whole? Okay.
Yeah.
I always love those two songs. I mean, yeah, there's plenty of others that you can sing along to almost any of them. But
I like Give Me the Prize. I like Hammer.
And of course,
Fall.
Bicycle.
Bicycle. My mom had that on record, man. That. I love Bicycle. I want to ride my bicycle. Set Me Free. Set Me Free is so fucking good.
Yeah.
So Queen's album, It's a Kind of Magic, was the first album from the band that I bought on CD. Like, I listened to them, obviously. My mom had records, but like my own money, this is the first album from them I bought on CD. I think I might have had a Queen tape, but I didn't buy it. I think I got it somewhere, or my buddy gave it to me, or I found it or something. So there was a couple bands that were supposed to do this that didn't work out. Duran Duran. There was another band from Britain that was supposed to do it, but they were on tour, which they said no because they didn't want to stop their tour, which they've come out and said they're like called Magellan or something like that. It's on Wikipedia, but they regret it now. Yeah, for sure. Queen initially said no, like we don't want to do this. But then they saw a 20-minute clip. I'm pretty sure it had Heather's death in it. And after that, they're like, yeah, like, let's do this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, let's fucking do this. Brian May said it was the tragic love story that moved him to make Who Wants to Live Forever. That's the guitarist.
Yeah.
The guy still has the big old hair. They made 5 songs for this movie and then re-recorded them for their album. Now, they didn't want to do an incomplete soundtrack because they weren't interested in doing little orchestral bits, as they called it.
Right.
So they get Michael Kamen from Lethal Weapon fame and a bunch of other stuff. Lethal Weapon's way after this, but still, Michael Kamen's, man. And I, after knowing that it was him and watching the movie this time, I could definitely tell the Michael Kamen parts, like, for sure. Like, I could hear some of the upbeat, when things are about to go down. It kind of gave me that early Lethal Weapon sound to it. Michael Kamen is just so good. 5 songs, like I said, were made for this. The song Magic was remade by Freddie Mercury. The original guy wrote it with Taylor. I think he's the other guitarist or the drummer. But he was out of town for something, and Freddie listened to it and said, nah, and he redid the whole entire thing.
Oh, jeez.
The guy comes back in town. He says, hey, man, check this out here. I redid this. And Taylor's like, oh, what the hell, man? Listens to it and goes, okay. Well, okay, that's a little bit better. Sure, we'll go with that way. And they couldn't decide on a single. They're like, man, this needs to have a single somewhere for our album, for the movie. Now, I don't know if people know this, but movies are released differently in different countries, in different areas. Yeah. They usually come out in the US first and then the UK. So they decided, okay, well, if it's coming out in the US first, we're going to do Princes of the Universe. They figured if they did Princes of the Universe overall, and that was their single in America, or I mean, in the UK, people wouldn't understand because the movie wasn't out yet. They wouldn't get it. Like, what do you mean we're immortal? Yada, yada.
Right.
So like, we'll do Princes for the US, UK will do It's a Kind of Magic. And it worked out, it became a big hit over there. And for the music video of Princes of the Universe, have you ever seen the video for this?
No.
They kind of work in bits of the movie in it, but they're on stage singing, and Christopher Lambert comes out. He's got his trench coat on, and there's a point where he like grabs like a sword mic. I don't know if it was a sword or microphone, but he goes to swing it, and Freddie Mercury comes back with his, and they let it clash real quick. So they kind of like, it's a mix of Highlander and Queen together. And as I'm watching all these people talk, I was like, man, well, Freddie Mercury doesn't really have any parts in what they're here. And then he does show up at the end and he's talking about it. And he kind of trails off away from Highlander, and he's talking about how music is super important to him. And he goes, I don't know if I can do this, forever. Music's always going to be my life. Maybe I'll produce or something. I don't know if I want to be one of those guys that's super old and on stage, can I really do it anymore? He's like, I don't know. I maybe got like another 10, 20 years of doing this. And he had like no idea. It was just so sad because he's talking about like, I'm going to get old one day. I'm going to get like super old. He has like no idea the early 90s he's going to be gone. Oh, it just fucking killed my heart, man.
Yeah.
Just killed my fucking heart.
If he knew he was sick yet.
I don't think so with this.
Okay.
Early 90s, I think maybe 89 to 90, somewhere in there is when he finds out, doesn't tell anybody.
Because he died in, was it like 93?
Somewhere around there, yeah, like early 90s. Yeah, the song which has nothing to do with Highlander, but the song "The Show Must Go On." There's a really cool thing there where he's recording it, and he knows he's sick. Brian May knows he's sick. He's recording it. He's really fucking belting this stuff out, and Brian's like, "Dude, you sound like your throat's really hurting here. Do you want to do this?" And I guess Freddie just lights up a cigarette and says, "Yeah, let's fucking go." And it was like their last recording that they did. Like he said he just went through the fucking pain because he loved the music so much. He didn't want to quit. And then, later on that was into Freddie.
Well, I mean, and unfortunately, if anybody out there doesn't know, Freddie Mercury did pass away from AIDS. So essentially his body was just killing itself. It was shutting down. I mean, it was a painful.
Yeah, I think in smoking, I think the cancer in his, or not cancer, but like his throat was all jacked up and stuff too. And it's horrible because it's one of those bands that are so good. I love AC/DC, and luckily they found like a whole, their third singer, killed it. He's still killing it, even though that he got fired and Axl was there for a minute, but he's back now. But they never, to me, and I know I talked shit about Adam Lambert earlier. He's fine for what he does. I don't see him as a Queen singer, but it's just one of those bands I wish they would have found somebody a lot similar. I know they weren't trying to copy him, but Queen's one of my favorite bands of all time. Are they in like your top 100, John, or top 50 or anything? Do they rank up there for you?
I'd say top 20.
Yeah, really? That's good. What about you, Josh? Are they like, I know there's so many genres of music out there.
No, yeah. Absolutely.
Are they like to me, like I'm always like, hey, Google, play fucking This Is Queen, I
mean, well, like you even said, you go through phases, like where, well, great example. Electric Call What could be my favorite this week, but then there's those bands that just they're
always in your rotation somewhere.
Never leave that top 10. Like
Tom Petty's never going to go. AC/DC's never going to go for me. Well, like ever.
One of my all-time favorite, possibly my number one favorite band is Rush. Most people don't know that. Oh my God!
Well, we're going to cancel the podcast now. It's over.
That's fine. Never thought.
Listen, Rush has a shit ton of bands. You go ahead. You tell me about Rush.
Well, see, like most people know me, and I like heavy metal. You'd never think that was
prog rock. I wouldn't have thought that would be your thing.
2112 is one of the best albums ever made, in my opinion.
At least it's not a
good guitar work. Good guitar work.
Amazing.
I'll give that.
Amazing.
It's just not my huge thing.
Queen is up there in the top 10, definitely.
It's probably because, do you guys know how Brian May got his guitar?
At the store.
His father couldn't afford a guitar.
Okay.
So his father was an engineer. His father engineered a new type of guitar and made it himself by hand. And it's still the same style that Brian May uses today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about Highlander.
We are
talking about Highlander. So we went on a Queen tangent there. We'll move back here.
I have one more question about Queen for you, though.
Sure. Go ahead.
Did you watch the movie with, was it Rami Malek or whatever?
Rami Malek, yeah, I did.
Was it Bohemian?
Bohemian Rhapsody, I think it's
was decent. It was decent.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't watch it. I was told it was he did a really good job.
I thought the Elton John one was a little bit better because Egerton did.
Egerton, that's it.
I think he did a better Elton John than Remy did this. Sacha Baron Cohen was supposed to do Freddie for a long time. I thought he would have been a little bit better at it. I just don't. Remy Malek's a good actor. I didn't feel a lot of Freddie there to me. He did the same movements and he was dressed. I don't know. His teeth were way different. It was the teeth that were killing me.
Yeah,
You watch Freddie Mercury in a interview, and then you watch that. Like, I understand, like he had to wear prosthetic teeth and stuff, but it was the bottom jaw. Like he didn't have the bottom teeth there. His teeth were like too exaggerated to me.
I do remember
almost
reading,
cartoony almost.
Yeah,
I remember reading.
But it's a good movie though. I did enjoy the movie like a motherfucker.
There was clips on YouTube. I remember seeing that like. They would compare the original Bohemian Rhapsody performance, or one of them.
Oh, he got down pretty good.
And like, it was almost like shot for shot. They said like he memorized it almost perfect.
He did pretty well. I mean, I didn't say he was like horrible, but.
Is it worth watching?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It's just as good as Highlander.
Oh, wow.
Just
okay.
As good.
Perfect.
Just as fucking good.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah. Where do you want to move on next? What do you got next for us?
My notes ended a while ago.
Yeah, we're working on yours, buddy.
Oh, my Lord. All right, so let me go through the chronological order.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Somebody says, hey, I want to watch Highlander, but I don't, there's a TV show, there's a movie, there's an animated series, there's a Mythos Chronicles. Where should I start? Well, like, how should we do this?
It seems like any series that has more than 3 entries ends up in some type of master cut format, like Star Wars and all of those.
Yeah. Well, I'll go through the order that you should watch. If you want to say this is all one universe, which it's really not, but this is the best chronological order you need to watch.
This is all canon.
Okay. And I got a little tidbit for each one of them here.
All right.
So I would say start off with Highlander from 1986 first.
So number 1.
That's where Connor beats Kurgan and gets the prize. Then move on to Highlander 3, The Sorcerer, or as I knew it, because I had the poster on my wall of the Final Destination. Or Final Dimension, rather. I went down to the local movie gallery, wherever it was, where I was living, and they had posters for real cheap. And I was like, oh shit, that's a Highlander poster. I just rented this earlier the year. So
pretty sure that's what my copy is called that I bought.
Yeah, Motley Crue's in that one.
Because I got all of them. I just haven't watched them all again yet.
Yeah, Motley Crue's got some song, a song in there. And does it help it? I don't know. That's okay. So in the timeline in this one is 1995. So the first one 1986 and 1536. So that's the first one. Highlander 3 is in 1995. You have Kane and 2 other mortals are trapped and then released. Connor doesn't understand how he got the prize when there's still others around. He even says it. He's like, I won the prize, but these guys are here. How is that even possible? No answers ever given in the movie, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that's good.
Surprise.
So they pose the question all the fans are asking, but they don't actually answer.
Yeah, they never answer it.
Okay, good.
Then we jump to Highlander, the series, from 1992 to 1998. Now, luckily, a lot of the releases are roughly when these take place. So that's really good. They're never like, oh, in the super far future. And when they do, they give you a date. So that's nice.
Now, I do remember watching the series.
Adrian Paul and... Yeah, so that one,
sci-fi or
this is where the movies merge with the TV show. New Immortals, a lot of them pop up all the time, including Mythos, who's the oldest immortal that we know of at the time, who's like 5,000 years old.
Oh, wow.
Like there's a whole thing where he was part of the 4 Horsemen of Death. Like he's been around before the Egyptian Empire, and he's been around like forever. Now in the very first episode, Connor MacLeod does show up. He helps fight off Richard Mole's villain character with Duncan MacLeod. Duncan MacLeod is a Highlander who was adopted by the clan MacLeod. And Connor finds him I think 70, 80 years or something after his whole deal with Ramirez. Okay. So then after that, you need to watch Highlander the Raven, which is a spinoff of the TV show, there's a short-haired girl in there who's an immortal, and it's a spinoff about her. Then you want to jump to the Mythos Chronicles that came out in 2001. This is an animation, which I've never seen, that apparently tells the story of Mythos' past and present. I don't know anything really about it other than that. Then you go to Highlander Endgame that came out in 2000 that has the wrestler Edge.
Thanos is in it?
He might be. I don't Josh Brolin rolling around somewhere in the back scenes. Maybe, it's possible. It's a movie that continues the TV show, but also includes Connor and calls back Heather and Kurgan. But ignores Kane. They never mention Kane from Highlander 3, but that still could have happened. This is the end of Connor, by the way. Spoiler alert, this is the end of Connor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. He's dunsies. Then we go to Highlander The Source in 2007. It's supposed to be in the not too distant future, it says, but it came out in 2007. So I don't know. We'll say it's 2012. I don't know. The world's in a weird place. It's really fine in some places, but not in others. You can tell it was shot in Eastern Europe, like probably fucking Moldova or something. The source in this planetary alignment could theoretically be connected to Highlander 2. I've written here. So they're searching for the source, but there's this astrological thing that's going on where planets from Earth all the way across the galaxy are lining up, they say, on this computer model that they have. And so the Guardian who guards the source, who's fucking ridiculous, they're trying to find the source, but he's trying to kill everybody along the way. And Duncan has to face him at the end. And it ends weird because this girl merges with the source and then it just goes to credits. You don't find out what happens after. Did Mythos live or die? We have no fucking idea. Because the closer you get to the source, the closer they get weaker and they lose their immortality. The Guardian kills one guy, but he doesn't get resurrected because he's too close to the source. He just is now mortal and he dies. Then you go to Highlander 2 in the chronological order. The Quickening, the Renegade version takes place in 2024. Technically it takes place after the source, right after Highlander 1. So nothing of part 3 or the TV show is included because they weren't made yet. It retcons where the Immortals came from, why or how, by making them exiled aliens forced to kill each other. Could the planet Zeist be in connection to the source? Maybe because of the astrological thing. So in Highlander 2...
Were they aliens? Because they were
they're on the planet Zeist.
Future.
Yeah, they're in the future on the planet Zeist. they get exiled. They get sent to Earth. Where everybody gets exiled, gets sent to Earth. They all have to kill each other to find the prize. And I guess the prize is to return back to Zeist, which is why Michael Ironstein wants to stop it, because he doesn't want Connor and Ramirez to come back, because they'll beat them and win back the Empire, I guess. It's very confusing. And then I guess there's an animated series as well. Now, I will recommend there's an anime, John, called Highlander, The Search for Vengeance. It's about another MacLeod, but it's like a completely alternate reality. It has nothing to do with Connor or Kurgan, any of those people. But there's a bad dude. He's been around since the Roman times. And this takes place from the Roman Empire all the way to, I'm going to say like maybe the 2060s or some shit. It doesn't really specify. It's just way in the future. There's other like Immortals. There's the dude with a chainsaw who's trying to kill the dude. He's like using a chainsaw sword.
What?
Yeah. It sounds ridiculous. And it's not safe for work. I will tell you that in many fashions. It's good. It's a decent anime. It was fun. The Search for Vengeance, I think is what it's called.
Highlander, The Search for Vengeance?
The Search for Vengeance. And yeah.
It was made in 2007.
Yep. Is it supposed to follow Connor?
No, this is a completely different MacLeod, in a completely different universe. Doesn't have anything to do with the TV show or movies.
Okay.
It's all its own animated universe.
Romulus, got it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, maybe possibly. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
What about the future of the franchise, guys? Are they going to make more? Are they going to make more of these? I got some info. You guys have any info? Tell me what you guys got.
I mean, after hearing like movie 2, I was like, so I don't know.
They're not going to continue the very loose continuity that we have. But I did read they want to reboot the entire thing fresh.
I mean, I'd watch it again.
And I heard who they're eyeing for the main part, because I think I heard two people. We talked about it in Days of Future Geek, but I don't know who they're eyeing for, like Kurgan and stuff like that, or if they're going to have.
That's the rumor. That's the other one I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then please, because I know who they want for Connor, and I'm excited.
Okay, so
we'll see.
Around 11 years ago, Lambert was asked about a remake, and he said,
"Dear God, no."
He's like, I don't think it's wrong to make a remake, but do not make a copy. He's like, people do not want to see a copy. And even the people, the one video I saw where they were talking about, like, they kind of just copied the first one over and over again. They didn't really do anything original. So Lambert's like, they need to do something re-eventual, new, let me say that again.
Tongue twister.
Yeah. Lambert says they need to do something more original. They need to get it reinvented. He said they need to find a special director to replace Russell. And of course, a band to replace Queen. He's like, who's going to be the next Queen? That's what they need to find. Now, this was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a band like that, and I don't know. I guess we can pose a question here at the end of it. They said, well, if it is remade, will you be in it? And he said, maybe it depends. He says, if it's like a full-on role, no. He's like, I don't want to step on what's already been made. If it's a wink to the audience, maybe.
So a cameo.
Yeah. Just like, okay, yeah. But nothing. He doesn't want to have a substantial role at all. So we know.
I want him to come back as the Kurgan.
I don't know, he's getting a little bit older here.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, we glossed over the whole entire fact too that you had a Frenchman who could barely talk. He learned English for Highlander. Mm-hmm. He was a Frenchman who learned English to play a Scotsman. You had Ramirez, who's supposed to be an Egyptian Spaniard, played by a Scotsman. And then you had Clancy Brown is an American playing a Russian Kurgan with no accent. Yeah, it's kind of wild. And because somebody saw Tarzan, Greystoke, which he was in, Christopher Lambert. He doesn't really talk much in that movie, and it's like kind of in French or something. And they're like, who's this guy? Let's get this guy. And like, he didn't even fucking speak English.
No, yeah.
That's why his accent's kind of weird, because he's trying to master an American accent.
Lambert.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He speaks French.
Yeah, but I didn't know
he has a French accent when he talks.
I didn't know he didn't really know English when he...
he had to kind of learn it as he went. Kind of like Ana de Armas, kind of her first movie, she had to learn English too. And there's a connection there because the remake is going to be the same guy that did John Wick and the Ballerina.
Oh.
And the reason, so we've been heard for a couple of years that Henry Cavill's been attached to this. Now, it didn't get made right away because this dude was doing the Ballerina and John Wick 4 or whatever it was. So now they're on track. They're supposed to start shooting late this year, early next year. Henry Cavill has confirmed he is going to play in the movie. They didn't know if he was going to play Connor or somebody else. Well, he's kind of come out and said Connor MacLeod. They're eyeing Michael Fassbender to play the bad guy.
Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe they're not going to go a huge giant route for a bad guy. I don't know. I think the guy from Reacher would be a badass Kurgan if they were going that way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a 6'4" guy. You know, why not?
I mean, that would be definitely imposing with the sword
my
fight.
only issue with him is he plays the same character in everything I've ever seen him in. I can't remember.
That's why I wanted him to do Hyperion. I wanted him to go full fucking crazy.
Fassbender, they could definitely go more of the...
If they want the tortured Kurgan route.
Sociopath. They could definitely pull that with him.
Yeah.
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 So Cavill's been known to say, he said, I've been a fan of Highlander since I was a lad, from the movies all in the 80s, Queen Slathered Glory, and the TV show with an actor who looked remarkably like one of my brothers. So he has said that he wants to dig into his Scottish past because he's British, but he has a lot of Scottish in him. So he wants to dig into that Scottish backstory of his life. And he kind of wants to bring that up in the movie. So
does he have an accent?
A British accent, yeah.
I don't
Henry
think
Cavill.
I've ever noticed.
That's because you always see him in American movies.
Well,
the Gentleman movie, he does it. The one where he's fighting in World War II or something.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know what you mean.
It's fun.
Okay.
It says, being not shy with swords and having a director talented as Chad Stileski, am I saying it right? Stileski? Yeah. At the helm, this is an opportunity like no other, deep diving into franchising storytelling with all the tools at our disposal and going to make this an adventure I hopefully and all of you shall never forget. He says that it's going to be a huge new feature film. It's set to shoot in various locations throughout the Scottish Highlands. Now, I did just see last week that they posted casting for over in Scotland for extras and things and looking for certain people. So they are in the pre-production stages. This is no longer development hell. It is being made.
I will happily not speak and just die on camera and pretend I'm Scottish.
Oy.
Call me.
I'll do it. Hell yeah.
My kids have red hair.
I've got like 1% Scottish in me.
I'm 30. Yeah. I did the 23andMe. I'm 70% German and 30%
after this, we'll see where we're at. I have some. It's called the Casting Collective. The UK's largest selection of extras has launched a search for people to be featured in the movie. It's supposedly going to start in May of 2025. This is a 4-month push for the original scheduled time of January 2025, and delay is caused by reshoots of Ballerina. Despite pushing the movie a year and a half in the future, still expected to come out in 2026. Stileski has said about the movie, saying, we're trying to do a bit of a prequel, a setup to The Gathering, so we have room to grow the property. He also confirmed that it won't be totally a new Highlander story, as our story engages a lot of the same characters and stuff like that. So, with that being said, John, I'm going to go to you first. This movie comes out in 2026. They're filming this year. They're going to grab Adam Sandler, hypothetically. Who is Adam Sandler going to play in this movie? You can make him play any part other than Henry Cavill's part, obviously. Who are you picking? Who are you doing?
I don't know why I'm thinking about this. I have two characters in mind. One, I would absolutely love to see him playing the Kurgan, just because, I mean, it would be hilarious. The other one, I could definitely see him playing the Spaniard. If he put a lot of effort into it, maybe.
Ramirez.
Yeah, Ramirez.
You think okay.
I think he could probably pull it off.
What about you, Josh?
He would 110% be the racist cop in the interrogation. Without a doubt.
You think he played Garfield?
Absolutely.
He'll play Garfield.
Absolutely.
I think 2 parts. Either A, they give more to Castigear like they did in the novel, and they show them more of their past together.
Flippy flip.
Or, no, not that's Fazil.
Oh, I got them.
Castigear's on the bridge. Or he plays the Marine. Yeah. He's like, could you imagine him kind of slinking around with an Uzi? All right, Marine, this time's for real.
But instead, he pulls a golf club out.
Yeah.
He pulls out a golf club and he's like, this one's for chubs.
You knew chubs too? He just pulls out a water boy. My mama said.
I mean, he did take the croc's eye or head.
He did.
Or alligator, whatever it was.
An alligator.
Yeah.
He got your hand. I got his head.
I read that alligators kill like 1 to 2 people a year and crocodiles kill like 500 people a year.
I believe it.
Crocodiles don't give a shit, dude. Like they'll eat each other.
Caimans like caimans in Africa, like they're massive.
Dude, there's one of the oldest alligators is like as long as this room, dude. Like it's ridiculous. They're like 26 feet, dude. Like nuts.
That's called Lake Placid.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, when we went to Myrtle Beach, there was an alligator, there was an alligator zoo we went to, And like you said, they can get as big as this room. And I've seen, like the one zookeeper called this thing by its name underwater, mind you, and it rose to the surface. I'm like, nope, hard no, out.
Well, see, alligator farms, like you can like have pet alligators and they can have, and like you don't hear of like, oh, like they might get a little injured or something, but like the alligators aren't looking to like, if it's a crocodile, like, oh, your lunch. Oh, hey, little girl, your lunch. Hey, monkey, your lunch. Hey, car, your lunch. Oh, is that, hey, you, come here, your lunch. Like, they don't care, man. They don't care. They don't care. They're like goats, dude. Don't eat anything.
That crocodile swallowed a semi.
John, who is going to do the soundtrack for this movie? Who's the queen? Who's doing it?
That is incredibly hard.
Greta Van Fleet.
No.
Taylor Swift.
No.
Oh, my God. Nickelback's coming back, baby.
Oh, jeez.
Man, that is...
Ailstorm. It's a Scottish movie, right?
As funny as that would be to see them doing that, I mean, they might be able to pull it off. I mean, it'd be funny to see it.
Parkway Drive. Give it a real edge.
Coheed and Cambria.
Get the fuck out of here.
What? It's like a modern day Rush.
No. Do you like Coheed and Cambria?
I used to, but they were never one of my all-time favorites.
One of our friends group.
I like
them
them.
a lot. I don't care much for
They
them.
get annoying quick if you listen to them too much.
Still had that vocals, man. Just
Cool thing though is their albums tell the story of the comic books that the lead singer writes. You know what? It's the Armory Wars, I think it's called. You can look them up online. They're not bad comics. And if you know that and you listen to the albums, like, straight through beginning to end, it tells the story. But if you just listen to them without knowing any of that, it can get old pretty quick. But as for who would actually do the soundtrack, man, I don't know.
Tell us out there, everybody, who is on that Queen level. Now, maybe they're not as popular, but who has that emotional punch? Because it's a soundtrack of action. It's a soundtrack of feeling, emotion, of power.
I don't know. I'm throwing stuff out there. What do you think?
I just said Parkway Drive.
I thought you were joking.
No.
I'm going to mute you.
I don't know if
right, Taking Back Sunday.
Hey, listen, tell you about don't be hating on Taking Back Sunday, man.
So listen, you want to talk about
range. If we're going to be dead serious, Breaking Benjamin.
Five-finger death punch.
Come on. Five-finger death. What?
No, look, at the end of the day, it's going to be 30 Seconds to Mars. Jared Leto's going to squeeze in here somehow.
I'm not. You might be joking.
Shut up. No.
I like their first couple albums. I do.
Yeah, but no.
They even have the one song with the sword fight.
Yeah,
the clang,
no.
clang, 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 clang. I like 30 Seconds to Mars.
All right, let's just all agree on The Who, but
Creed's coming back.
WU, the Mongolian throat singing group, let's just go with that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or no, HU, whatever it is.
HU. The Who.
Varduna. I'm picking Varduna.
But really, if you're out there and you have a band that you think would actually work for a new soundtrack for a new Highlander movie, let us know who you think. Let us know how horribly wrong we are and why Creed should never touch a Highlander movie.
Agreed.
I liked him on Scream 3.
I'm 6 feet from the edge and I lost my head.
And I'm thinking maybe the immortality's
Listen, you
not
throw
so
Creed in there, you might as well just put Bush.
I think I'll say Nickelback.
Bush. I like Nickelback. You guys are all haters, man. Haters.
Listen, I never said I didn't like them.
Yeah, but you also liked Craven and apparently Star Trek 31 or whatever. So we can't take your opinions anymore.
Yeah, apparently not.
Because according to the internet, you don't have a good opinion.
Wow.
And the internet never lies.
No, never. No misinformation.
So here's one of my big questions I've been dying to ask. We know that these random people are immortals. We don't know how many. I don't think they ever actually say how many there were.
Well, according to the TV show, a lot.
A lot.
And they recycle, apparently.
And what?
I mean,
then that defeats the whole purpose of only being one.
I mean, shit, Connor won the prize, and then 3 more Immortals came out of nowhere. They recycle, apparently.
Like, where did it? Okay, we know how it supposedly happened and stuff.
Well, in the TV show, they say the Kurgan. They talk about the Kurgan, and they just say, "Well, it was just a super powerful quickening. It felt like the prize, but it wasn't." That's the way they just kind of retconned it.
But from my point of view, just looking at the first one, looking at the original, not all the retcon. What do you think it was originally supposed to be? The game. Like, what do you think it was originally, like, in the minds of the writer when he first wrote this?
Well, he took an idea from The Duelist, the old movie The Duelist, where it was just this guy that was just relentlessly wanting to kill another guy. That was part of his idea. Well,
because I said to you off mic, remember, that to me it almost felt like higher deities playing a game, like a game of chess, watching this play out over the centuries.
Well, the writer said it was just supposed to be a bunch of immortals doing this. There was no bigger grand scheme to it all. It was just immortals who were supposed to fight till the end.
But there has to be a bigger grand scheme if there's a prize at the end.
See,
Who set the rules?
I guess we'd have to find the original script in the novelization because I don't have a specific answer for you.
Yeah, because I thought the same things. Like, you see some of these people have like different powers. So I'm thinking maybe they're.
How do they have different? Like, what do you mean different powers?
Well, what is it, like Kane? Like, he's able to shapeshift.
Well, that's only because of the sorcerer Nakano.
And
True, but I mean, he killed the sorcerer to gain that power.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what if like the whole thing is to gain those powers and become like almost like a partial deity or something?
Like a demigod?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. Sure.
But again, we don't know. That's where I'm. That's
Now
where
you're
I'm
going to get me on a rant because
they did have powers though.
breathe underwater.
he started off as a
What do you
Scotsman.
mean
I don't know
breathe
if that's-
underwater?
Yeah, he can breathe
I
underwater.
guarantee they could all breathe underwater.
They sure could.
Because they probably just, well, it's better than the old guard. Did you watch that?
No, I didn't. I'm not going to.
Why? Really?
No, I'm not interested. in that.
There's a flashback scene where they drop this one immortal in like almost like an Iron Maiden without the spikes, like it's just a cage into the water, and they basically say like she's going to drown, wake up for the until, because in that story eventually you just stop being immortal and you die eventually, and so she could spend 1,000 years
That's a lot
drowning
of torture right there.
repeatedly, or she could die in 5 minutes. So, but we saw Connor just like, I'm good down here, which annoyed me because if he gets stabbed, he dies, but he can't. He's not going to drown and die, and then regenerate or whatever.
See, that's what I said. Magic power.
No, it's not.
Well, he never in the first movie he doesn't get stabbed and die. Even when he's getting stabbed in the duel, he doesn't actually die. He just stabs, falls down, and then gets up.
In the beginning.
Well, that was his very first death.
Okay.
That, as they explain it
So
later
that was
in
the
the
power button.
they explain it later on. Okay, so in X-Men, you have to go through either traumatic teenager changing shit to get the X gene to jump into. It's the same with Immortals. You have to die of a traumatic death, something crazy. If you have the immortal gene or whatever it is, and you don't ever die in like a car crash or something crazy, you'll just die of old age.
Do you think it's hereditary? Like after.
I think every fucking Clan MacLeod somehow.
Well, I mean, after he won the prize, after he could have children, because that was part of the prize in the first one.
Yeah, and then they never show us children.
But
so.
do you think if he had children, do you think one of them could have been born an immortal?
I think it's possible, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. But it never happens because she dies in a fucking car accident.
And they're aliens.
Yeah.
Highlander puberty.
Well, no, in the second movie, she dies of being like charred, I assume, from the sun because the ozone was gone. And
Oh, you're talking about I can't remember her name. Brenda and Heather are both in the first movie, but the second movie is completely, her name's different. It's not either one of those names.
Oh, I thought that one was supposed to be Brenda.
No.
Oh,
Brenda is
okay.
the swordsman lady. Heather is a lady from Scotland. The shield rebel is a completely different lady.
Yeah, her. But there's a flashback of him in like, a hospital bed before he built the shield around the earth. I thought that was Brenda. Or was that a different wife before Brenda?
Completely different wife.
Because
they get it all
he
muddled
only
up.
mentioned like 27 years ago my wife died, and before that it was, I think he said Heather. He only mentions 2 wives.
Yeah, he doesn't mention Brenda at all in the second one. He mentions somebody completely different. He mentions a completely different, and that's what confuses it even more.
So there's a whole different name.
Yeah, and then when you get to the third one, there's a lady in England after Heather that is like the lady he runs to in the present time looks just like her. He goes, "Oh, you look just," because there's like a painting, and then he tells who it is, and then they bang. That's Deborah Unger in that movie. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he bangs like he's a ladies' man. Or he sure is. John? What is your favorite part of Highlander 1? What is your favorite part, and what rubs you the wrong way about the movie? We got to give it a little negativity here.
The negativity. I'm going to start off with that because it's going to be easier. Just some of the continuity errors. Again, like you're seeing things like with people like missing, like going into.
I didn't notice any of it.
I mean, if you look real close, there are continuity.
I want to hear
errors.
every.
Maybe I guess I purposely don't look for it.
I do. I like to be able to point those out, but I mean that's just.
So you like to fuck over a movie. You're like, this is why this movie's shit.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's the only thing that makes it bad and the acting is good, then all right.
You know what? That's what we're gonna do for Patreon. We're gonna watch a movie. It's gonna be a drinking game. First one to call out a continuity error, and the other 2 drink.
Well, I guess I'll be drinking along because I never noticed shit.
All right, so we're reenacting Mystery Science.
Michael's going to
2000.
purposely not see anything.
No, we're not. We're not ripping anything off. This is going to be completely
What are
different.
you talking about?
They don't drink
All
in
they
that
did
show.
was make fun of the movies.
Well, I'm going to be doing that.
So what's your favorite part then?
Oh, my favorite part? I mean, like I said, it's going to come down to the fight scene with Ramirez and Kurgan.
Okay.
My favorite, because I mean...
Even when their tower turns out to be really poorly put together.
yeah, because it's like falling
Well,
apart.
I'm pretty sure it was abandoned and then Connor took it over.
I always attribute it to like the lightning, and it's extra strong lightning. But I mean, like, whole sections of this tower just crumble.
Yeah, they're like falling apart. I'm just like, all right, well, I mean...
Do you think that could have been holy ground at some point and they didn't realize it?
Ooh, that's a good point, yeah.
Ooh. And the reason it was such an extreme battle was because they were technically desecrating the role.
Yeah.
Because in part 3, they fight in a Shinto temple and the sword breaks.
Ladies and
They're
gentlemen,
not supposed to.
Michael just gave a fan theory.
Yeah, it did. Well, in the novelization, this doesn't have to do with the theory, but he way later on when he's in Scotland, he's already with another lady, with Brenda.
He moves quick.
And then he goes by where he used to live with Heather, and it's gone now. He just sees a couple rocks and stuff where he buried her, and he makeshifts a new cross and puts it up, and he says, "You would have liked her. She's just like you." And
Now-
talking about Brenda.
Does that make that holy ground?
I mean, it's just a graveyard. I doubt it. I mean, if you
What
talk to
if-
Native Americans, yes.
What if a Highlander or an immortal becomes a priest? Can they just bless everything they're walking on and never?
Become Catholic and just have the fucking holy water hanging off their neck all the time.
So if someone comes near you, just sprinkle it. Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah, just like fucking like instead of a salt circle, just do like a holy water circle.
I
This is going to be
think we
Highlander
just-
repellent.
I think we just hacked it. We're good.
Yeah, just a super soaker with fucking holy water.
It's like, I can't take my head. Nope.
Yeah. What about you? What do you not like about this movie, and what is your favorite part?
Oh man, what do I not like about the movie, and what is my favorite part? Whale. Why did I just say well? Like whale.
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 Well,
Oh man, I'm gonna say my favorite part has always and probably always will be when Ramirez just tips him out of the boat and then he's got to walk back, because they don't really show the fact that he's probably walking for quite a while to get back to the shore.
Christopher Lambert said about that scene, he said, so the first time I didn't really think the water was going to be that cold. And he says, I go in, it's not that cold. Says the second time, you're like, well, I know the water's kind of cold now. Fuck, we got to do it again. And he said the third time, he's like, listen, guys, okay.
we're done with this.
We're kind of done. All right.
That's great.
Yeah.
That and the running with the deer scene. I don't know why. I love that little training part.
Do you feel it? It's hard.
Well, and then Sean Connery starts like treading his feet like
Uh-huh.
like a deer. I don't know why. I always like that. The one thing that always irked me about the movie though was when he reveals himself to Brenda by having her stab him in the gut. Like
Yeah, forceps himself.
that didn't really reveal anything except that you just stabbed the dude and you don't even show her that you healed. You just pull it back out and you're like, I'm immortal.
I can never die.
Yeah.
Like, honey, I just stabbed you in the freaking appendix. You need help.
I like, John, that
It
you
was too easily believable. Like people believed him too easily, in my opinion.
gotcha. That's good. When you were saying whale and John was like, well, I thought you were going to do the
Hartman song, yeah.
no, I thought you were going to do SpongeBob, which Clancy Brown does the theme for. Because Clancy Brown's in SpongeBob, you know.
Mr. Krabs.
What about you?
All right. I guess the negativity I would say for this is some of the dialogue at times, like, oh, no, don't kill him. No, not him. Some of that stuff can be a little cheesy. There's some really good dialogue in there, but some of the delivery was a little bit off. Some of the stuff that Garfield says is kind of dated. Don't know if it really plays well today, but it just shows you how shitty fucking cops can be and how it used to be. Fucking shows you how slimy New York City used to be, like hardcore.
In general, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's over the top and cheesy, you know, there's a review that said, it was like on Rotten Tomatoes or something. It's like, this movie is loud, it's noisy, it's bombastic, and it's over the top, which is why it's shitty. But that's the reason why so many people love it.
It's fantastical.
Yeah. It is fantastical. And that's my word, and I'm going to stick with it. Like when the Marine goes in there and he stabs him and he lifts him and throws him, like it's a cool scene, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense.
And he probably would not have survived that.
I don't know if you ever saw part 3, John, but that place where they talk to the Marine in that hospital ward, they turn that into the psych ward for part 3, and he has to escape. So Connor MacLeod gets shot. He goes back to New York City. He gets fucking jumped by these fucking hoodlums. He gets shot and he does kind of die. They take him to the hospital, and the doctor gets pissed because there's nothing on him. He's like, "There's no bullet wounds here, you assholes!" And then he wakes up and tries to fight everybody in the hotel room. And then they take him up to the 7th ward, and then he has to escape. But what's funny is he has to escape that part because the one guy thinks he's Napoleon, and he goes, "Oh, don't you remember who I am?" And I didn't know that till reading the behind the scenes of that part had been cut. He goes, "Don't you remember who I am?" And I gotta fucking go do what? I gotta go talk to what's his face. You got to help me escape so I can go talk to what's-his-face so we can win the war. And the guy thinks he's Napoleon, helps him escape by riling up everybody. So the guards have to come in, and then Connor slips out.
Completely.
So that makes no sense until you know about the Napoleon scene that never got into the movie.
Now, which movie was that supposed to be in? The first?
Yeah, it's supposed to be in the first one, but they reference it sort of in part 3.
Jeez.
Which is technically supposed to be part 2.
Yeah.
But whatever. Yeah, so like I said, some of the dialogue kind of bugs me here and there, the delivery. My favorite part of the movie, man, it's hard to pin down a Clancy Brown Kurgan part here. I do like in the scene where he goes to get the hotel room. He gets candy, and then he leaves, and the manager's like, "Hey, Candy said you're a bit freaky," and he says something to him, and I can't remember the second, but he turns around and he goes, "Don't ever speak to me. Don't ever speak to me again," and like grabs him by his throat. And then he throws the guy backwards, and there's this drunk dude in a chair next to him. He's like, he starts, "Shut up, you fucking shut up." He's like, "I hope you get your head chopped off, asshole."
Yep, he starts razzing him right away.
Yeah. I like that part. I'd say the final fight scene's probably the best part of the movie, but man, it's just the shit with Ramirez is really good with Kurgan. I mean, some of the fighting montage, because there's been so many funny montages since then. Like he knocks Ramirez's sword out of his hands and goes flying down to fucking God knows where. And like, who's climbing down to get that?
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Yeah. So that's what I got.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's Highlander in a nutshell.
That's Highlander. Yeah. This is a fucking classic. This is not the best made movie ever. It's not the best acted movie ever. Some of the special effects, are very dated, but the practical effects are still good. There's some innovative stuff to do with the cut scenes and how they transition. And it's just some really cool makeup, seeing the way Kurgan's dressed in the church. There's a lot of really good stuff going for this movie that I think if you just overlook the fact that we're in 2025 now and this was made in 86, 85, it
was made in 68.
Yeah, 1968. Yeah. Made in 85, came out in 86. But I mean, like, if you just put your mind on Copilot for just a minute and just don't fucking care, this is a fun fucking movie.
It is. It is a great movie.
Is it fucking Return of the King? No. But what is Return of the King? I don't know. But it's a good movie. And I recommend it to people. Do you two recommend it to somebody who's never seen Highlander?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it's one of those movies that I was watching it. I said Monday, I rewatched it at work. And my one coworker he came in, he was talking to me, and I had it paused on a side monitor. Immediately, he said, "You watching Highlander?"
Yeah.
And it was the most obscure. I don't even think it was of MacLeod. It was just some random scene, but it's one of those movies like it became a classic. Like,
yeah, people know what it is.
99% of people will recognize it or at least know the line. There can only be one.
And there's so many memes out there and GIFs of Kurgan, Clancy Brown, and like you say there can be only one. You're like, "Oh, are you fucking Highlander over here?" Like there's been references in movies before. There's been so many references to Highlander I've seen in pop culture movies that you're like, "Are you fucking to Highlander now?" Like it's just
that's it.
I've seen them.
I got it. Perfect. The new movie, we need Clancy Brown and what's his name? MacLeod.
Connor MacLeod. The guy MacLeod.
The actor.
Christopher Lambert.
Thank you. We need them like in a park playing chess. And something happened in the background, and then one of them like knocks the king over, and he's like, there can only be one. Perfect scene. I got it. We're done.
There you go. Done. Did you know Ryan Reynolds years ago was in the running and was talking about playing Connor MacLeod? They were going to make this this was before Deadpool.
Which Deadpool?
The very first one.
Okay.
Yeah, they were
Origins again.
Yeah, they were talking about doing. He's like, "I'd love to do a Highlander movie," and then so we could have got a Ryan Reynolds quip fest.
Oh,
know, I don't know. I wasn't super excited. I was like, he was in good shape, but he was younger. But like, I've only
ever seen, I think, one or two movies where he was actually mostly serious. And he's a good actor, but you're right. Like he just
Amityville Horror.
that was a good movie.
Yeah, I mean,
I saw it in theaters.
I don't know if he could pull.
That's a good horror movie.
I don't know if he could pull off that super stoic 1,500-year-old. I don't think he could do it. I'm sorry. I don't know.
I mean, if he was able to pull off that role in Amityville, I think if he could probably do it.
I don't know.
I mean, because I got him for like just comedy, and after watching that movie, I'm like, oh, okay, he's got a little range.
So you're in your driver's seat. You have seen all the auditions. You've been down. You've got it cut down to Ryan Reynolds and Henry Cavill. You are the guy making the call. What Highlander movie are you making? You making it with Cavill or are you making it with Ryan Reynolds?
Chris Hemsworth.
I wouldn't do it with Chris Hemsworth. No, I wouldn't.
Cavill.
I do it with Luke Hemsworth.
Cavill, just because I think he has a better physique for it.
Well, just look at The Witcher.
Yeah,
that's basically him.
That's where I was going. Just straight to The Witcher.
Well, you look at a 5'11" Christopher Lambert who probably weighed fucking 170-ish pounds. And you got Henry Cavill, 6'4", fucking 200 something. That's a big fight. Like he's like that's Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Who is going to be? And it would be interesting. We talked about this with the Terminator. What if Arnold would have been the detective and Lance Henriksen would have been the Terminator? That would have been like because you're going to kind of get sort of that here. If you get Fassbender to be Fassbender, I think would be a good Highlander personally.
Yeah. But then I also feel like whoever the Kurgan is needs to be taller. They need to be more imposing. So who the heck would you get the dude from Alien Romulus in there? 7'7" basketball player.
He plays Reacher.
Well, did you see the new trailer for Reacher? They got the Dutch giant fighting Reacher. The dude, he's like 7'1".
Oh wow!
And he's not just tall. Like the dude is like bigger than the mountain from Game of Thrones.
Wow!
Like, there's pictures of him standing next to Bjorn, and like he's bigger than Bjorn. Like he's a big dude. Yeah, I can't wait till Reacher. I think comes out in like a month or something. New season. Do we have anything else on the amazing fucking Highlander movie? God, everybody needs to watch this.
I've got nothing.
Nothing.
Such a good movie.
The only thing I have left to say is if you have not seen these movies, at the very least, go watch the first one. I guarantee you can find it.
Skip the second.
It might even be on Netflix. I think
if you want to be if you want to, watch the first one. Obviously, it is the best one. It's the one that makes the most sense. I took the time to watch them all when we were preparing for this, just because I love the franchise. I love the idea. I know we got a new one coming out. You know, if you are a true fan of the franchise, I say get it where you can. Like, take the time. Yeah. You know, I'm not saying you're going to have a wonderful time. I do appreciate, I will say in the sequels and even the TV show, there was a lot of big swings they took. I mean, USA, was that what Highlander TV show was on?
Yeah.
I mean, they took a lot of big swings. They don't always land, but I appreciate that every one of the sequels, the audacity of part 2, when nothing else was out yet, to go the direction they went. Dude, Sean Connery read that script and signed on.
They took a chance.
Michael Ironside signed on to this. Because it's so ambitious. And it doesn't really work.
He played a really good Michael Ironside.
Dude, this scene with the subway is so fucking stupid, though. Where he's like making it go fast. It's so dumb.
They only hit like 700 miles an hour.
Fuck, man. Yeah. All right. Well, I will digress. I won't talk about Highlander anymore. I'm just saying, you know what? 8 out of 10. Fuck 7.5. This is an 8 out of 10 movie. I don't give a fuck. 8 out of 10.
If you haven't seen it, find a way to watch it. Absolutely recommend it. John, Michael, is there anything else you want to say before we head out of here?
No, other than if you guys come back for the next episode, we might be visiting in fact, we will be visiting Middle Earth.
War of the Rohirrim.
Yes, we're going to Rohan. Yeah. You hear that, John? We're going to go to Rohan. Yep. You can decide if you're packing your saddlebags or not, but that's where we're going.
Animated Lord of the Rings movie. We're going to be checking it out and letting you know what we think.
Yeah, we talked about doing Lord of the Rings at some point. And I was like, dude, there's so many Hobbits and Lord of the Rings. They're coming out with new shit. I was like, yeah, and we might, that Gollum shit might come out. We might fucking do something, but
we're going to go down the rabbit hole at some point.
Yeah, but I was like, I don't have the energy to do like all of Lord of the Rings. And I was like, well, this movie just dropped. So like, let's do something that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
A whole new thing. So we're going to do War of the Rohirrim. That's our next episode.
All right. Well, then I guess we're ready to wrap this up.
Ready to get out of here.
All right. So if you're enjoying what you're hearing, you should definitely hop on over to Instagram, Facebook, or X. Follow us, subscribe, whatever the vernacular is on that platform. Do it.
Smash it, like, subscribe.
Yeah, that. definitely comment. We would love to get in a chat with you. We will absolutely comment back. We want to
Yes,
know
I will.
who should be doing the soundtrack for the new movie. Who should Adam Sandler play?
Who should play if it's not Michael Fassbender, who should play a villain in this?
Tell us why Highlander 2 was the best movie ever made.
Yeah, I want you guys to tell me why Highlander 4 or Highlander 5 even was the best. Oh my god.
Why it was even made. Yeah. If you really like what
It's
you're
not even
hearing,
a cash grab. They probably made like $10 off that movie.
yeah, seriously. But now, if you really like what you're hearing, like I said in the beginning, hop on over to patreon.com/Tree of Geek. $5 a month. You can get on our Patreon subscription service. I don't know what you want to call it. Our Patreon list, where you will receive for a very limited time a Tree of Geek tumbler personalized to you.
Yeah, if you want to say these nuts, we'll do it. Or if you say we came for the shitty wrestling, that's fine.
This is true.
See, I got a theory. I think Vazil was so depressed about the shitty wrestling, he went down to the garage and cut his own head off.
That could have happened too.
I love that part too.
Damn.
Oh my god.
I love it. All right, well, this is Josh from the Tree of Geek. I'm getting out of here.
This is the H train. A jug.
Oh, jeez.
The engine's fixed. Yeah, I just had to wait on some parts. They came in, so you know. Yeah, I had to pay a tariff, but it's fine. I don't care. A jug.
John, say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
And gals. And whoever else. Man, you gotta say goodbye to everybody,
Bye,
man.
peoples.
Goodbye, listeners. That includes everybody.
Later, peeps.
Deuces. Late.
We don't do that, Michael.
That's what me and Ryan do on the phone. We're like, late. Hello and great. Now, fuck all that shit. This whole high pitch stuff. Hello, everyone, and nope, I don't like that either. Hello, greetings and salutations. God damn it.
Golden Tag.